Chapter 168. Even though it was late at night, at least half of the customers in the King Song Residence's hot pot restaurant were still seated. From the looks of it, most of them were unable to sleep and were here to eat supper. There were even a few who came out in their pajamas. The moment the four of them entered through the door, they attracted the attention of everyone. With this kind of combination, it was impossible for them to not attract the attention of everyone. Especially for Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi, they were definitely two Lolitas. That small skirt coupled with black stockings, it was simply enough to make people spurt out blood. There was no need to talk about Qin Yutong. Her pair of slender legs were enough to make people unable to take their eyes off her. But Yi Zizi was even more lethal. She was a little lowly. Minimum of 3 years, no upper limit. The few of them headed upstairs to the private room. Last time they sat in the hall because there were no private rooms available. Those two people are here as well. Qin Yutong could be heard crying out in surprise. Yi Hua and Qinya looked over and saw a man and a woman talking and laughing while eating. Isn't this boy the one who was abandoned that day? And didn't that girl run away with the rich second generation? It had only been a few days and they were already chatting and laughing together. The fire of gossip ignited within Qin Yutong's heart. Just that she was stopped by Qinya. Why are you so concerned about other people's matters? Yi Zizi had a curious look on her face. However, when Yi Hua and the others were eating hot pot, Zhu Yi was currently at his own winery receiving a guest. No, it was another owner. At this moment, Lord Jiu was lying on the ground and a black vortex appeared in front of him. Master, this lowly one has received news that Emperor Song is dead. But the cause of death is unknown. Lord Jiu said while trembling with fear. Although a powerful master had died, I, Lord Jiu, am lacking in other things, but I have a lot of masters. A deep voice came from the black vortex. So what if he's dead? I originally wanted him to kill a few more. Lord Jiu felt that it was not convenient for the owner of the black vortex to reveal himself. He was definitely a powerful person and wanted to use someone else to do his dirty work. Go to Xianxia tomorrow. Someone will tell you what to do. Yes. After finished speaking, the black whirlpool disappeared. Zhu Yi slowly stood up and let out a breath. For me to be able to get to my current position, I have to rely on the help of these masters. Just that, why did Emperor Song die just like that? Originally, I still have a lot of things that I need him to do. What a pity. Lord Zhu took out his 8848 titanium phone, opened WeChat, found someone and typed. Master, the black vortex wants me to go to Xianxia tomorrow. After sending the message, Lord Jiu picked up a cigar, cut off one end, and leaned back comfortably on the sofa, waiting for the reply. Ding dong. Lord Jiu immediately checked the replies. Observe the situation and wait for my orders. Yes. Lord Jiu laughed. Why were these big shots killing each other for no reason? Luckily Lord Jiu had a good brain. But what was going to happen to Xianxia? He was really curious. In a park in Longan City, it was pitch black here. However, there were two shadows sitting on a bench, flickering with a faint light. One could even hear them if one walked closer. Bayubibu. They were the duo who had refunded their rent and came out to sleep in the park. They were probably the bitter duo. Death Mage and Sun Fong were holding onto their phones and beside them was a power bank. Death Mage and Sun Fong were using all their strength to press on the screen. Especially Sun Fong, it was as if she had a grudge against the screen. Suddenly, Death Mage's phone's battery was low. Death Mage picked up the battery pack and took a look at it. He immediately sent a WeChat message to Sun Fong. Looking at the WeChat message that Death Mage had sent over, Sun Fong sneered. You want to have a power bank? Go and die. You tricked me out and said you have a solution? Is this the solution? Sleep in the park. This scoundrel is just cheating me of my rent. Reply. Return the money. Death Mage immediately typed a reply. If you don't give me the power bank, how am I going to fish? If I don't fish, how am I going to return the money to you? It seemed to be quite reasonable, but Sun Fong wouldn't fall for it. She protected the power bank within her bosom. Return the money, return my life, return my innocence. Death Mage replied, don't force me to make a move. Sun Fong wasn't afraid at all. Come and try. Death Mage could be seen placing his precious phone and power bank at the side, then directly pressed Sun Fong down on the bench. The scene was a bit erotic. You damned skeleton, let go of me, scoundrel. My entire body is hard. Sun Fong pressed onto Death Mage's sternum with both of her hands and pushed with all her might. However, how could this little bit of strength be Death Mage's opponent? GGG. Imperial translation, are you giving or not? Although Sun Fong didn't know what Death Mage was saying, she seemed to be able to feel it. Not giving, get lost. Death Mage could be seen grabbing towards the power bank, but his position seemed to be a bit off. The two seemed to have been paused. Death Mage felt that his hand was a bit soft and he tried again. Sun Fong opened her beautiful eyes wide. My chest is actually being attacked by a skeleton. Shameless skeleton, I am going to kill you today. Sun Fong could be seen taking the initiative and pressing Death Mage down, and Death Mage reacted quickly and pressed his bone hand onto her chest. Sun Fong looked at the bone hand on her chest blankly, and her expression was terrifyingly gloomy. On a moonless night to actually forcefully snatch a man, a demoness. Today I, Dou Fushi, will uphold justice on behalf of the heavens and save this innocent man. A young man who wore a yellow Taoist robe could be seen suddenly appearing. On his back was a peachwood sword and on his hand was a talisman. Follow the law. Dou Fushi threw out the yellow talisman, and it just so happened to be stuck onto Sun Fong's forehead. Right now, Sun Fong received 100,000 points of violence. Are you fucking blind? It just so happens that I don't have a place to vent my anger. Consider yourself unlucky. Sun Fong tore off the talisman on her forehead and Dou Fushi turned pale with fright. Demoness. You still have some skills, watch how I am going to subdue you today. Subdue your sister. Sun Fong shot out explosively and her body turned into a faint afterimage. Death Mage who sat up picked up Sun Fong's power bank and plugged it into his phone. Bayubi. Dou Fushi didn't expect that this malicious spirit would be so powerful. To actually not be afraid of any talismans, and to even be able to catch the peachwood sword with her bare hands. In any case, I have the ghost catching system, so how can I be beaten up by a malicious spirit? Plop. Big sister ghost, spare me. Sun Fong was currently in a berserk state and everyone misunderstood that I had an affair with the skeleton. Even the Taoist priest thought that I was violating the skeleton. How can I not be angry? I'm going to fucking kill you. The resentment in Sun Fong's heart was indeed not light. If not, why would Dou Fushi treat Sun Fong as a ghost? Dou Fushi looked at Sun Fong, who was incomparably sinister. I'm finished. It wasn't easy for me to obtain the system, and in less than a year, I'm going to die before I even have the chance to show off. However, after waiting for a long time, there was still no pain coming. Could it be that this is death? Let go of me, I'm going to kill this Taoist priest who is full of nonsense. Death Mage could be seen holding onto Sun Fong's waist with one hand, while Sun Fong was baring her fangs and brandishing her claws at Dou Fushi. Dou Fushi slowly raised his head. At this moment, the moonlight just happened to shine onto Death Mage's face, and Dou Fushi's eyeballs were about to pop out. Chapter 169. Sun Fong, who had almost calmed down, was immediately lit up again. You damn Taoist, I'm going to hack you into pieces. Who's husband and wife with it? Are your dog eyes blind? Death Mage immediately typed a message with one hand, then showed it to Sun Fong. He seems to be quite rich, it won't be too late to kill him after we snatch his money. Sun Fong, who was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down, gradually calmed down and said in a sweet voice, let me go. Death Mage let go of Sun Fong's willowy waist. I didn't expect that a human's waist would feel so good to the touch. It is soft and very comfortable. It's no wonder that both his honor and master have women, this is probably what his honor likes, right? Hugging Sun Fong at night feels very comfortable. Looking at Sun Fong, who was not far away from Death Mage seemed to have understood why his honor wanted Sun Fong to fall madly in love with him. So this is a reward for me. I am truly stupid, only now did I understand his honor's painstaking efforts. I didn't expect that his honor would actually be so concerned about the private life of his subordinate. I am truly touched. Sun Fong walked up to Dou Fushi and shouted, hand over the money. Dou Fushi thought that he was going to die, but he didn't expect that the evil ghost couple only wanted money. Sister Ghost, this is all I have. Dou Fushi took out his empty wallet. There was only about 20 yuan in it. He was even poorer than her. Sun Fong kicked him. It seemed like she was very angry. Don't think that I don't know. Who still carries cash these days? WeChat transfer. Sun Fong shouted. Faster CKme. Now evil ghosts are in sync with the times. They're even using WeChat to commit robbery. He had underestimated this vengeful ghost's cultivation. Bastard! Hurry up and come over here. Sun Fong shouted towards Death Mage. However, Dou Fushi, who was kneeling on the ground, was stunned. Are all ghosts so affectionate these days? Sister Gray, I'm just trying to make a living. There are fewer and fewer ghosts these days. They've all been captured by the big sections. I really don't have much money. Dou Fushi begged bitterly. Humph. So you're an orphan. Stop quibbling and transfer the money. Dou Fushi's heart was bleeding. After adding him on WeChat, Sun Fong shouted, transfer 10,000 first. Now even ghosts know that WeChat can only transfer 10,000 yuan a day. Death Mage happily accepted the 10,000 credits, then typed a few words, kill it. Sun Fong raised her hand. Big sister ghost, I can still transfer 10,000 tomorrow. Dou Fushi immediately shouted. Who cared if it was useful or not? Staying alive was more important. Death Mage was overjoyed. However, Sun Fong didn't care so much. Only death could calm her heart. It was a money tree that could drop money every day. It would be a pity if it died. Death Mage hugged onto Sun Fong, who had gone berserk once again. However, Sun Fong's delicate hands had already fallen onto Death Mage's body. Dou Fushi looked at the cracked ground beside him and his back turned cold. Big brother Gui was the best. Sister Gui was too cruel. Let me go, I want to kill him. Dead ghost, quickly let go of me. Sun Fong struggled within Death Mage's embrace as she scratched and bit at Death Mage. Death Mage let out a breath. This woman is truly insane. Seems like I have no choice but to use my trump card. As long as I use my trump card, I can guarantee that she will immediately faint. That is, kiss of death. Death Mage gave out his second kiss in his life, and Sun Fong opened her beautiful eyes wide. Looking at the empty eye sockets in front of her, her eyes rolled and she fainted. Dou Fushi slowly lowered his head. I am still a child. Big brother Gui, are you very short of money? Dou Fushi asked. Death Mage, who was hugging onto Sun Fong, typed on his phone. Tell me. I just passed by a winery and I heard that something big is going to happen in Xianxia, and there is money to be made from it. Although Dou Fushi didn't hear what Death Mage said, he roughly understood what Death Mage meant. Is there really such a thing? Death Mage typed and asked. In order to save my life, even if there isn't, I have to say that there is. Big brother Gui, how would I dare to lie to you? Death Mage thought for a bit. Since something big is going to happen, I will definitely be able to gather information. Furthermore, I will also be able to make money, so why not? If you dare to lie to me, you are dead for sure. Death Mage typed. With a wave of his hand, the three of them instantly disappeared from the park and appeared in Xianxia. Death Mage truly comes and goes without a trace. Yi Hua is still waiting for the flight tomorrow. Right now, Yi Hua and the others had just finished eating supper and were returning home together. Hubby, I'm so full. Xianxia held onto Yi Hua's arm and said sweetly. After the misunderstanding was solved, Xianxia became like a little girl and liked to act cute in front of Yi Hua. Yi Hua patted onto Xianxia's head. Who asked you to eat so much? So full. Zizi is also full. The two Chuyin that were following behind Xianxia held onto their waists and looked as if they were going to die from bloating. These are the three foodies. Of course, the one who looks good is called a foodie, the one who looks ugly is called a rice bucket. Returning back to the bedroom, Xianxia, who had eaten and drank to her heart's content, instantly fell asleep. She was the kind that wouldn't wake up even if you shouted at her. Early morning. The weather today was not bad, the sun was not very big, suitable for going out for a trip. Yi Hua opened his eyes and looked at his chest. Seems like Xianxia's drooling problem is finally gone. Wake up. Raising his hand, Yi Hua lightly patted Xianxia. Wake up. No, it is still early now, our flight is at noon. I will buy breakfast for you. Yi Hua was a man who kept his promise. Since he had promised, he would definitely fulfill it. Xianxia hugged onto Yi Hua tightly. You are not allowed, I will buy breakfast for you later. Yi Hua had no choice but to carry Xianxia and throw her into the washroom to let her sober up a bit. However, the sound of Xianxia fighting Yi Hua to the death could be heard from the washroom. The result was, of course, Xianxia was defeated. Big sister Qin, why are big cousin and the rest so noisy? Yi Zizi lied on the bed and asked in a daze. Qin Yutong had even more of a bad sleeping posture. The blanket was kicked off the bed as she muttered, "It will be fine once you get used to it." Oh, while smoking, Yi Hua walked out of leisure bar and arrived at the entrance of the alley. 2 pancakes, one of them with eggs and sausages. Yihua stood in front of the aunt and shouted. Upon hearing that, the aunt smiled and said, "Have you reconciled?" Yihua did not speak. "Stop pretending. What is there to be shy about? Coaxing your wife is a natural thing to do. Which eye of yours saw that I am pretending? Do you believe that I will not eat here anymore in the future?" The aunt who was making pancakes laughed and said, "You should smile more. What is the point of putting on a straight face every day, especially when facing your wife?" "Preposterous logic," Yihua said indifferently. The aunt was not convinced and a debate began. Xianxia waited for a long time and did not see Yihua return and was a little worried. Thus she ran to the entrance of the alley and actually saw Yihua and the aunt arguing about something. "Yihua, you too?" Xianxia walked over and asked curiously. Yihua stretched out his hand and hugged onto the aunt's shoulder, then said, "My wife, I will make the decision." The aunt was speechless. "Just a few days ago you two still looked like you were about to die. If not for aunt helping you, you two would not be able to reconcile so quickly. Next time don't expect aunt to help you." Chapter 170. While eating the aunt's crepe, Yihua snorted. "If it wasn't for the fact that the crepe tastes good, I wouldn't have come here to buy it from you." Xianxia didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she hit Yihua. "What are you doing? That aunt actually said that I'm afraid of my wife. Just thinking about it makes me angry." While biting on the crepe that the aunt made, Yihua scolded the aunt. In actuality, every time Yihua went to buy breakfast, the auntie would always sincerely tell Yihua about it. In the beginning, Yihua had the intention to kill Yihua, but at that time Yihua endured it. After a few years had passed, Yihua had actually gotten used to it. "If I don't listen to the auntie's nagging, I would feel like I am lacking something." "Humph, isn't it good to be afraid of me?" Xianxia laughed. Yihua chuckled and walked into leisure bar. "Stop right there, what do you mean by hee?" Xianxia stomped her feet, then took a bite of the Chinese jianbing. So fragrant. After returning to the second floor, everyone began to clean up their clothes. Yihua looked at the 3 women. Are they preparing to move or what? Especially Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi, these 2 big chests. The box was almost as tall as Yi Zizi. Xianxia dragged her luggage out and looked at her sister and Zizi. "Why did you 2 bring so many things?" Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi looked at Xianxia's suitcase, then looked at their own suitcase. "Cousin-in-law, your suitcase is even bigger than Zizi's." Xianxia rolled her eyes at Yihua, who was leaning against the door. "Your big cousin's clothes are also stuffed inside. Big brother is even lazier than Zizi." Yihua glared at Yi Zizi, then said faintly, "Let's go." Qin Yutong cried out in surprise. "Me and Zizi still haven't changed yet, wait a moment for us." After finished speaking, Qin Yutong closed the door. When Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi appeared once again, the corner of Yihua and Xianxia's mouth couldn't help but twitch. It is one thing for Yi Zizi to wear a princess dress and hold a small umbrella, but you, Qin Yutong, are already so big and you are still wearing such a dress. The main point is still my face. Xianxia's head was hurting. "Sister, I have another set here. Do you want to change?" Qin Yutong said elatedly. If it was only one person wearing it, it would be crazy, but if it was 2 people wearing it, 2 crazy people wearing it, at least there would be one companion. It would be best if big sister was dragged into the water, then there would be 3 crazy people. Yi Zizi turned around and giggled. "Eldest Biaoga, eldest cousin-in-law, is Zizi beautiful?" It must be said that Yi Zizi was indeed extremely cute and there was no problem with Qin Yutong dressing up like this, but walking on the street like this. Is it really suitable? "Sai, let's go," Xianxia said dispiritedly. She felt as if she was bringing along 3 children who were going out on a trip. Arriving at the airport, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi instantly became the focus of attention. Basically, everyone was looking at the 2 of them and taking all kinds of photos. Especially Yi Zizi, uncles love her the most. 9 out of 10 Lolas are rich and there's still one. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi were very magnanimous and they put on various kinds of poses. An airport was forcefully turned into a cosplay exhibition, and if it wasn't for Xianxia dragging the 2 of them away, the 2 of them would definitely play for an entire day. Xianxia finally knew why Yihua said that on that day. "My heart is so tired, I have to be their nanny." When they arrived at the VIP waiting room, they finally stopped talking, but they were still discussing all kinds of clothes. "Now you know that you have a headache." Yihua sat on the sofa and said faintly while looking at a magazine. Xianxia let out a breath. I should have listened to Yihua back then, so tired. It's all master's fault. I'm just a servant. Suddenly, an arrogant middle-aged man walked in from the door, but when he saw Yihua and the others, he immediately shrunk his head and slightly turned around. Xiaojiu, Qing Yutong shouted out. Jiu Ye's heart sunk. Why is it them again? Nothing good will come out of being together with them. However, I have already been discovered if I were to leave just like this. Sigh. Boss, lady boss. Jiu Yi smiled and walked forward. Yihua raised his head and took a look, then lowered his head and looked at the magazine again. He felt that some of the clothes in the magazine were very suitable for Xianxia. Xiaojiu, where are you going? Xianxia smiled slightly, completely different from the cold-faced CEO in the past. The power of love is just too great. Jiu Yi felt very bitter in his heart. Please don't go to the same place. Lady boss, I am preparing to go to Xianxia. You are going to Xianxia too. We are going too. Jiu Yi. Other than laughing dryly, Jiu Yi didn't know how to express his current mood. Jiu Yi didn't dare to sit down. He poured a cup of water and stood at the side, waiting. Suddenly, his phone rang, and when he took out his phone to take a look, it was actually his wife who called. What's the matter? Jiu Yi asked lightly. A questioning voice could be heard coming out from the phone. Where did you go? Didn't I tell you last night I am going to Xianxia to settle some matters? Jiu Yi slightly wrinkled his brows. This wife of mine is always letting her imagination run wild every day. Xianxia. To attend the Ocean and Sky banquet. K, you can even think of this. Why don't you go write a book? Are you sick? Jiu Yi shouted lightly. The cup of water in his hand trembled and the tea spilled onto his suit. A flight attendant could be seen slowly walking over and said delicately, Sir, your water is flowing out. Do you need me to clean it up? Jiu Yi went into a daze and the woman on the phone was also stunned. Soon after, Jiu Yi exploded in anger. Gong Wei, you still dare to talk about going to Xianxia? To actually look for a lady. If you have the ability, don't come back. Hearing the busy tone from the phone, Jiu Yi went into a daze. However, the flight attendant also heard the voice from the phone. Sir, I'm sorry for causing trouble for you. Jiu Yi sighed, then kept the 8848 titanium phone. It's fine. Sorry for disturbing you. I knew that nothing good would come out of meeting this couple. It hasn't even been a minute and my wife is going to divorce. After waiting for half an hour, Yihua and the others boarded the plane. The plane that they bought was, of course, a business class seat. After Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi boarded the plane, they immediately went to sleep. However, Yi Zizi was lying on Qing Yutong's body as she slept. They definitely looked like mother and daughter. Meanwhile, Xianxia was lying on Yihua's body, quietly enjoying the moment of tranquility. Jiu Yi was just sitting at the side, but he still couldn't let go of himself. This is truly depressing. Suddenly, a flight attendant walked over. Jiu Yi raised his head and took a look, and it was actually that flight attendant from just now. Sir, it's not good for your water stain to stick to your clothes. Let me help you clean it up. The flight attendant slightly bowed her body. Jiu Yi was an experienced person and he immediately understood what this flight attendant meant. Interesting, since you want to help me clean it up so much, I will help you clean it up then. Where are we going? Sir, follow me, there is a place to change clothes here. The so-called place to change clothes was the washroom, and when Jiu Yi walked out of the washroom had indeed been cleaned up. After flying for 1.5 hours, they finally arrived at Xianxia International Airport. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were holding onto a small umbrella, and they had a sleepy look on their face, making them look very lovable. Boss, lady boss, where are you two staying? I will send you two there. Jiu Yi said courteously, feeling that he could finally get rid of them. Chapter 171. That's too much trouble for you. Xianxia also appeared to be very polite. It's no trouble at all. Then let's go to the Three Seasons Hotel. Lord Jiu, why are we even staying in the same hotel? Why does the heavens have to target me, Jiu Yi? I really want to stay in another hotel, but master has already instructed me to stay in this hotel and wait for orders. Big cousin, Zizi can't walk anymore. Hug me. Yi Zizi rubbed her hazy eyes and stretched out her arms. Yihua let out a sigh. This fellow is truly too lazy. Just as Yi Zizi was about to carry Yi Zizi, Xianxia was faster than Yi Zizi. Yihua was speechless. Yi Zizi could be seen hugging onto Xianxia's white neck and immediately fell asleep. Yi Zizi was famous for being lazy. When she was bored she would sleep, and it was the kind of sleep that lasted only seconds. The longest time she slept was several months. The Three Seasons Hotel was located by the sea. Its location was excellent, and it was a 5-star hotel with complete facilities. One could face the sea when they woke up in the morning. This feeling was very comfortable, but the price was not cheap. After arriving at the hotel, Yizizi was once again full of energy, and was chattering non-stop with Qin Yutong. Without thinking too much, these two were definitely discussing to do something bad. There were a lot of people going in and out of the Three Seasons Hotel, causing Qinya to be a bit puzzled. Although it is currently the tourist season, the number of people here is a bit too much, right? Yi Hua felt that these people weren't ordinary people, and he was rather curious in his heart. What are so many people gathering here for? Shouldn't they be discussing about going to the north to snatch the ancient godly item? After Jiu Yi arrived at the hotel, he hurriedly took his leave. Although I really want to hug onto this thigh, but I feel that this thigh is very dangerous. Even more dangerous than those masters. The main thing is that Jiu Yi doesn't have any confidence in his heart. This boss doesn't play his cards according to common sense, and furthermore I can't see through him. Fortunately, I booked a room yesterday. Qinya said with a light smile. Yizizi, who was at the side, was holding a small umbrella and licking her lips. There was so much delicious food in front of her. She almost couldn't hold it in anymore. Qin Yutong also held onto the small umbrella and acted cute. After poking Yizizi, Qin Yutong's eyebrows twitched. Yizizi immediately understood and raised his eyebrows. It seemed like the two of them didn't even need to talk to communicate anymore. They could only use their eyebrows. After taking the room card, everyone went upstairs to rest. Qinya decided to start taking the wedding photos tomorrow, then properly accompany Yi Hua to have a good rest and treat it as a honeymoon. While Yi Hua was currently on vacation happily, little Ali, who was far away in Voidless Realm, wasn't so lucky. He finished his homework in the morning, ate his lunch, and practiced his swordsmanship in the afternoon. Right now, Dong Huangli was brandishing a sword that was even longer than Dong Huangli. Dong Huangli's face was covered with sweat, but Dong Huangli didn't complain about it. Dong Huangli's eyes were filled with determination. I will definitely not disappoint my mother. When my mother sees my achievements, she will definitely be happy and reveal a smile on her face and not frown all day long. Soft shouts rang out in the side courtyard, and the female attendants in the surroundings felt extremely distressed. Such a young child, under normal circumstances, would act like a spoiled child by her mother's side. Just because she was the Empress's child, did she have to work so hard? Your Highness, please take a rest. One of the maids said with a pained heart. Dong Huangli could be heard saying, "There's no need for that. Mother will definitely be happy to see how hardworking Ali is." The maid let out a light sigh. The Empress is very busy every single day, and she can only come over to see little His Highness at night. Dong Huangli repeatedly practiced the sword technique that her mother taught her, and her sweat had already drenched her clothes. Not knowing how long had passed, Dong Huangli kept her sword and looked towards her mother's bedroom. The bedroom is clearly right in front of me, but I can't go over. Your Highness, please take a rest. The maid brought over a cup of tea and said with concern, "Ali misses mother." Dong Huangli didn't take the cup of tea and said in a daze. The maid was a bit flustered and immediately knelt in front of Dong Huangli. "Your Highness, the Empress has given the order. Your Highness is not allowed to walk out of this side courtyard without permission." How could Dong Huangli not know about this? Dong Huangli let out a light breath. "Big Sister Ping, it's all Ali's fault. I made you all follow Ali and live here. Perhaps Ali shouldn't even exist in this world." Dong Huangli slowly squatted down and hugged onto her legs. From the moment Dong Huangli was born until now, she had never left this side courtyard. Other than those 8 elders, no one knew that the Empress had a daughter. Even the maids that were serving the Empress were not allowed to step out of the side courtyard. Of course, there were also the Empress's imperial guards that were stationed at the entrance of the side courtyard. These maids had watched Dong Huangli grow up day by day. However, the more they watched Dong Huangli grow up, the more their hearts ached. The Empress is too heartless. However, Dong Huangbaiji had her own difficulties as well. Ali's birth was unknown, and if this matter were to be spread out, the consequences would be unthinkable. It might even implicate the entire Voidless Realm. In this world, which mother would be willing to lock their child up? Your Highness. The maid lightly hugged onto Dong Huangli and comforted her. Let's go back to our room. Dong Huangli took another look at her mother's bedroom, then dragged her petite back into the room. The three maids immediately went to prepare hot water and food. After eating dinner by herself, Dong Huangli sat in front of the window and looked at the stars. Dong Huangli was already used to it. Originally, there was a computer that allowed me to interact with the outside world, but right now I don't even have a computer anymore. I can only continue to be in a daze and wait for my mother to come over. I should be able to sleep after hugging my mother. I should be able to have a good dream, right? I should be able to dream that my mother will bring me to sit on a pirate ship, eat ice cream and eat McDonald's. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Dong Huangli waited for an unknown amount of time. Dong Huangli turned her head around and looked at the door. Mother still hasn't come over. Dong Huangli stood up and walked to the door. It was very quiet outside the door. Dong Huangli wrinkled her brows, then walked to the door of the courtyard with small steps. From the crack of the door she saw that there was someone standing outside the courtyard. Dong Huangli was a bit disappointed. She turned around and walked towards the courtyard. If only I am able to pass through the wall. What is my mother doing right now? Suddenly, Dong Huangli's petite body disappeared from the courtyard, and when she reappeared she was already outside the wall. Dong Huangli was badly frightened by herself. Looking at the guards that were tens of meters away, Dong Huangli immediately ran to the corner and covered her mouth. Wasn't I inside the courtyard just now? Why did I come out? Also, my head feels so dizzy I am seeing double. After a long while, Dong Huangli finally came back to her senses. Originally, Dong Huangli wanted to go back to the courtyard, but when she saw her mother's bedroom, Dong Huangli wanted to hug her mother before going back to sleep. Since Dong Huangli had already decided, she walked towards her mother's bedroom. This was the first time that Dong Huangli walked outside of her mother's bedroom. Every single grass and every single tree was able to arouse Dong Huangli's curiosity. Unknowingly, Dong Huangli felt very happy. Soon, Dong Huangli arrived outside of her mother's bedroom. Dong Huangli muttered, "There are so many guards. If only I could go in like how I did just now." Dong Huangli immediately appeared inside the bedroom. However, Dong Huangli was currently holding on to her head, looking like she was about to faint. However, when Dong Huangli saw that the bedroom was right in front of her, Dong Huangli became very excited. The lights in the bedroom are still lit. Mother should still be dealing with some matters. Dong Huangli felt that she should go and pour a cup of water for her mother to drink and tell her mother to rest early. Chapter 172. Before even reaching the entrance of the palace, Dong Huangli could already hear the voices of people talking inside. Seems like my mother is still busy. I'll just wait here and not disturb my mother. Within the palace, Dong Huangbaiji was sitting on a purple gold chair while sipping on a cup of tea. Below her there were two elders, Yuan Da and Xing Han. Your Majesty, Ying family has already received our message and agreed to it without any hesitation. Yuan Da had a joyous look on his face. The marriage with Ying family was a win-win situation. If the Empress is able to give birth to a baby boy, there won't be three big powers anymore, there will only be one big power. Xing Han said gravely, Your Majesty, Ji family seems to be doing something. It seems like they want to destroy the marriage. Yuan Da snorted coldly. Do you think that Ji family can contend against two big families? They are truly overestimating themselves. This marriage is related to the change of the entire situation. The aristocratic families and the big sects are getting restless. Xing Han was a bit worried. Although the marriage was good, a lot of people didn't want to see this kind of marriage, especially Ji family. Dong Huangbaiji placed her right hand on her chin and asked faintly, What is the reaction of the aristocratic families in the north? Yuan Da paused for a moment, then said with a frown, The 5 aristocratic families have sent their reports, 3 congratulate and 2 oppose. What is the reason for the opposition? Dong Huangbaiji asked calmly. Yuan Da and Xing Han looked at each other, then Xing Han said gravely, Your Majesty is noble and holy, how can a mortal be worthy of the Empress? Dong Huangbaiji laughed lightly, but she didn't say anything. After a while, Dong Huangbaiji asked, What is the situation inside Ying family? Ying family's eldest young master seems to be a bit unhappy after receiving the news, and the second young master, Ying Kongshi, is holding a banquet in Sanya. Xing Han said with a smile. Dong Huangbaiji said calmly, He is happy. Of course, being able to marry the Empress is his good fortune. Furthermore, the betrothal gifts are still being prepared, and we will be able to set off tomorrow morning. Bang! A clear and melodious sound interrupted everyone's conversation. Yuan Da and Xing Han's expression darkened, and they immediately disappeared from where they stood and appeared outside of the palace. When they saw Dong Huangli, who had a surprised look on her face, they immediately paid their respects. Your Majesty. Dong Huang Baiji walked out slowly. Looking at the teacup that was knocked over and her daughter who was still in a daze, Dong Huang Baiji said, regarding the betrothal gifts, I'll leave it to you two. Go and check if anyone has seen Ollie. If there is, you two should know what to do. Yes. Yes. Dong Huang Baiji carried on to her absent-minded daughter, then disappeared from the bedroom and appeared in a small house within the courtyard. Lightly placing down her daughter, Dong Huang Baiji said gravely, kneel down. Dong Huangli stood there foolishly, her entire head was completely stupefied. Mother is actually going to marry someone else? Mother doesn't want me anymore and doesn't want father anymore. Kneel down. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out in a low voice. It is fortunate that I did not make a huge mistake tonight, however I was truly too mischievous. Dong Huangli could be heard saying, I won't kneel. I dare you to say it one more time. Dong Huang Baiji looked at her daughter in disbelief. She actually dares to talk back to me. I won't kneel, I hate mother. Dong Huangli's body trembled and 2 streams of tears flowed out from her eyes. Dong Huang Baiji's expression immediately changed as she raised her hand up high. However, Dong Huangli did not have the slightest bit of fear as she looked at her mother who seemed unfamiliar to her. In the end, Dong Huang Baiji didn't manage to slap Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji retracted her hand. Ollie, why do you hate mother? Is it because mother locked you up in here? Dong Huangli questioned her mother like a little adult. Mother, you are being disrespectful to father. Your father is already dead, why should I be disrespectful to him? In any case, if mother were to marry another man, it would be disrespectful to father. Furthermore, if mother were to give birth to another baby, she would definitely not want Ollie anymore. Upon thinking that her mother would never come back to her house again, Dong Huangli cried even louder. Dong Huang Baiji let out a sigh and prepared to carry her stubborn daughter. However, who knew that Dong Huangli would not allow her to carry her daughter and struggled free from her mother's embrace. Ollie, you don't have to worry about adults' matters, you just have to do your homework. Dong Huangli could be seen kneeling onto the ground and begging, Mother, can you not marry another man? Is it because Ollie is not good enough? Ollie can sleep a few hours less in the future. As long as mother is happy, Ollie is willing to do anything. Dong Huang Baiji's expression changed, however she gradually regained her calmness and said, Go and rest early. After finished speaking, Dong Huang Baiji walked out of the house. However, when Dong Huang Baiji closed the door, a stream of tears flowed out from her eyes. However, very quickly the tears evaporated and the delicate look on her face disappeared. Ali, who was inside the house, sat powerlessly on the ground. Mother doesn't want me anymore. Within the 3 Seasons Hotel, Yihua had already fallen asleep while hugging onto Xianxia, and Xianxia, who was sleeping, had a smile on her face. I reckon that she was having a good dream. In another room, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi began changing their clothes again. Big sister Qing, what clothes are we going to wear tonight? The uniform is still 2D and it is still the maid uniform. Yi Zizi flipped through her suitcase and inside the suitcase there were all beautiful and cute clothes. Qing Yutong took out a set of nurse uniform, then revealed out an evil smile. Zizi, how about this set of mine? Awesome, then what should I wear to go to the disco dance? Yi Zizi said dispiritedly. Big sister will help you choose. This lowly version of the teacher uniform is quite cute. Wow, big sister Qing's eyes sure are good. It is the same as what Zizi was thinking. Yi Zizi hugged onto the clothes, seemingly like they were treasures. Change into the clothes, let's go. Go go. Not long after, the two changed into the uniforms. There was no need to talk about Qing Yutong. She wore a little white cap, matched with the nurse uniform and added with white stockings. She was simply able to make people's blood spurt out. However, if Qingya were to see her little sister's appearance, she would definitely pick up a kitchen knife and chase after her, because right now, Qing Yutong still looked like her big sister. The lowly version of the teacher uniform on Yi Zizi was even more incredible, especially those two ponytails. Yi Zizi really wanted to grab onto one with each of her hands. Damn, Zizi, you're too cute, let big sister kiss you. Don't want. I won't let you kiss me. Qin Yutong didn't care so much and directly pounced onto Yi Zizi. The scene was a bit erotic, fill in the blanks yourself. After playing around for a short while, the two walked towards the bar downstairs of the Three Seasons Hotel. When the passers-by saw the two's attire, they were undoubtedly dumbfounded. Dressing up like this in the middle of the night, aren't you afraid of losing contact? In another room of the hotel, Jiuyi also received the orders of his two masters. Right now, Jiuyi was very gloomy. My two masters actually told me to go and kill someone, and it is even the same person. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? If I knew that it would be like this, I would have called someone else. I am not an assassin. Looking at the photo on my phone, this man is quite handsome. It is a pity that he provoked someone that he shouldn't have provoked. Jiuyi raised up the two bottles in his hands. Killing someone without a trace. I heard from my masters that after drinking this medicine, I won't die for the time being, but when I want to die, I will die. These two masters are thinking the same thing. Chapter 173. There was a Three Seasons bar downstairs of the Three Seasons Hotel. The place was quite big and the business was also very good. There was no shortage of men hunting for sex, and there was no shortage of women seeking excitement. As long as you had money, you could really do whatever you wanted here. The DJ in the bar stirred up the atmosphere. Countless young men and women shook their bodies crazily, enjoying the excitement of physical contact with strangers. In the corner of the bar, two men sat in the booth. They were dressed in ordinary clothes and were not eye-catching. However, no one could have imagined that one of the men was the second young master of the Ying family, Ying Kongshi, and the other was his personal attendant, Lu Bai. The two of them had been master and servant since they were young, and their relationship was quite good. At this time, Ying Kongshi was shaking his head along with the rhythm of the music. He was in a great mood, but Lu Bai, who was beside him, seemed very worried. Young master, let's go back. It's enough for your wedding. Don't cause any trouble. Lu Bai suggested. When the young master received the news today, he was so excited that he almost went to the heavens. Not only did he want to hold a banquet, he even sneaked out to have fun tonight. Ying Kongshi laughed and shouted, "Bibi, cheer up. Who would know that I'm here?" "But I'm afraid that young master will harm you," Lu Bai said worriedly. "Do you know why Her Majesty chose me and not him?" Ying Kongshi asked with a confident smile. Lu Bai shook his head. Ying Kongshi patted Lu Bai's shoulder. Who would choose a troublemaker? Of course they would choose someone who is easy to control, just like me. Lu Bai came to a sudden realization. Young master is wise, but marrying him will damage young master's reputation. Ying Kongshi laughed out loud and lit up a cigarette. "Bibi, you really don't know anything. Being able to suppress the Empress makes my life worth it." Young master's right. It's a pity that the Eastern Emperor doesn't have a male successor. Otherwise I wouldn't have a share in it. In the end, I'm just a sower. But no matter what, the seed is still my Ying family's. Ying Kongshi gradually stopped smiling and said in a low voice. Of course, young master is currently the person that all men in the world are envious of, and the expression that young master had today was also, "Haha, my brother probably wants to kill me. Young master, let's go back. Safety is more important." Lu Bai continued to persuade. Ying Kongshi smiled and said, all right, let's go back after playing for a while. Order a fruit platter and 2 bottles of beer. Lu Bai sighed. The young master was probably bored to death. The things of the secular world were just so attractive. At this moment, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi had also arrived at the entrance of the bar. For beautiful women, there was no need for them to queue up, and they were directly allowed to enter. However, when the two of them appeared in the bar, everyone who saw them was stunned. This big and small pair was too awesome. It was Yi Zizi's first time in a bar. She became excited as soon as she heard the music. Her ponytail began to flutter and her hair opened up. She was ready for a big cleaning. "Zizi, are you high?" Qin Yutong shouted out loudly. Yi Zizi paused for a moment. Her ponytail calmed down and she asked loudly, "Sister Qin, what are we going to do now?" "Of course we are going to shake it." Qin Yutong held on to Yi Zizi's hand and walked towards the dance floor. Just when they turned around, they bumped into a person and the beer on the plate immediately fell onto the ground and shattered. Lord Zhou stared blankly at the broken wine bottle. He had changed into his work clothes the moment he arrived at the bar. All of this had been arranged beforehand. Now that the opportunity had come, the medicine had already been administered. The target was just 15 meters away, and yet this woman knocked the target the moment she turned around. Jiu Ye's heart was bleeding. "Xiaojiu, why is it you?" Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. When Jiu Yi saw this face, he finally knew why he was so unlucky. "Oh my god, these people are really haunting me. Forget about it being on the same flight, they even stayed in the same hotel. They even bumped into me when I was doing a mission, and they even spilled my poison. But luckily I still have one more bottle." "You got the wrong person." Jiu Yi lowered his head, turned around and left, and continued to administer the medicine. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth but did not really care about it. Pulling Yi Zizi along, she ran to the dance floor and had fun. Sure enough, when the two girls ran to the dance floor, they immediately became the focus of attention. Everyone surrounded them into a circle and shouted out. Qing Yutong was a celebrity, her dancing skills and whatnot were not difficult for her. It was Yi Zizi's first time dancing and she did not really understand, but when she saw Qing Yutong twisting and turning, she started learning, and very quickly she found the feeling. A beautiful woman that was bubbling with beauty and a cute little loli. There were a lot of people at the scene who were currently opening up Baidu and searching how many years they would be sentenced to. Those two are a bit interesting. Xianxia also noticed Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi who were on the dance floor. Lu Bai nodded his head. "Gongzi's eyesight is indeed unique. Do you need me to go?" "Go ahead, this big and small pair are truly not bad." Xianxia's eyes shone. This kind of beauty is too rare to see. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi enjoyed everyone's gazes and they felt great, and Yi Zizi became a bit excited again. I am almost unable to control the feeling of sucking people." Yi Zizi pouted her small mouth. Although it was not interesting for ordinary people to suck people, it was still better than nothing. "Two misses, can you give me face and drink a cup of wine?" Lu Bai could be seen walking in front of the two of them and shouting. Qing Yutong pulled Yi Zizi and straightforwardly agreed. There is a free drink to drink, it would be a waste not to drink. Lu Bai thought that it would be very hard to persuade them, but he didn't expect that it would be so easy. Seems like Gongzi is going to have good luck with women tonight. Seeing a beautiful woman leaving with a man, everyone was envious. This kind of thing is hard to encounter even once a year. Arriving at the booth, Xianxia stood up, then stretched out his hand in a refined manner. "Nice to meet you too." However, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi ignored him, and even more so, did not stretch out their hand and directly sat on the booth. Xianxia retracted his hand a bit awkwardly. "All beautiful women have such personality. Big sister Qing, I am a bit thirsty." Yi Zizi pulled onto Qing Yutong's arm. Qing Yutong looked towards Xianxia and said with a smile, "Handsome brother, you don't even have wine here, why did you call us over?" "No problem." Xianxia nodded his head towards Lu Bai, and the latter immediately went to make arrangements. "Beautiful woman, did you come to Xianxia for a vacation?" Xianxia revealed a smile that he thought was very handsome. Yi Zizi said coquettishly, "I'm not telling you, damn, this little loli is simply too cute. If I were to grab onto those two ponytails, how refreshing would that be? If I were to add on the service of this beautiful woman, I would simply be as excited as pressing down on an empress." "Mr. Your wine is here." Jiu Yi walked over with a smile and placed 2 bottles of beer on the table. However, when he saw Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, his expression immediately stiffened. "Why is it them again? It is one thing to encounter them in the same bar, but to actually sit beside my target, what if they were to drink this wine?" A waiter could be seen walking over, and under Jiu Ye's dumbfounded gaze, the waiter placed all of the wine on the table. Chapter 174. Lord Jiu was on the verge of tears. Qing Yutong was very puzzled. What exactly is this 9th master doing? He secretly disguised himself as a waiter and looked as if he had just eaten *tea. How about playing dice? Qing Yutong suggested. Whatever the beautiful lady says. Xianxia smiled faintly. The moment he thought about grabbing onto Ponytail and attacking crazily, he was secretly delighted. Qing Yutong laughed lightly. It's just that it's boring if there are too few people. Lu Bai smiled and said, I can do it too. How about we call him along as well? Qing Yutong pointed at Jiu Yi with her delicate index finger. Jiu Yi was about to collapse. I really want to cry, but the person who wanted to cry even more was the other waiter. You guys actually ordered an old waiter and not a young fellow. Could it be that the taste of beauties nowadays has changed? How could Lord Zhou agree? He hurriedly said, Sir, I have to go to work. Lu Bai threw a bundle of red notes and said, I'm familiar with the boss here. Lord Zhou was also afraid that if he continued to refuse, his scheme would be exposed. All right. But there were at least 60 bottles here. Which 2 bottles were drugged? Faster thief. This woman was a devil. Nothing good ever came out of meeting her. If you lose, you will lose a bottle. Qing Yutong said tenderly. Xianxia gave her a thumbs up and said, Beauty, you're so straightforward. 1 bottle it is. He saw that Yi Zizi had already opened a bottle and was drinking it first as a sign of respect. Burp. Looking at Yi Zizi's appearance when she burped, it was so adorable that everyone was about to explode. Xianxia couldn't wait any longer. Little Loli, my love, the 5 of them were playing dice and they were drinking bottle after bottle. Soon half of the bottles were gone. Lord Zhou drank about 10 bottles and he didn't know if he had drunk poison. He felt unwell. It was all their fault. Why did they come here to drink? If they didn't come, the 2 bottles of wine they had just brought would have been drunk by this target. Although it was fine to drink the wine as long as he cast a spell, he would instantly die on the spot. If the master cast a spell now, he would definitely die. Which 2 bottles were they? Because he was worried about the poisoned wine bottle, Lord Zhou was not in the mood to play the game. But because he was not in the mood to play, the chances of him losing were higher, so of course he drank more. Not long after, the wine bottles on the table were emptied. Just who was it that drank those 2 bottles, Zhu Yi also did not know, but he knew that the probability of him being the one that drank those 2 bottles was higher. This beer is boring, serve it white. Qing Yutong snorted. Xianxia couldn't wait to get them drunk. Therefore he simply used the liquor with the highest alcohol content. Of course he didn't drink it 1 bottle at a time. Instead he drank it in small cups. Other than Zhu Yi, those sitting here were either old monsters or people with systems. Of course there were also 2 cultivators. The pitiful Zhu Yi was probably going to cry himself to sleep in the toilet. Why did the immortals call a mortal like him to join in on the fun? Yi Zizi was a little bored. It was not as exciting as I stab you and you stab me. She was playing with Xianxia's Zippo lighter. Lord Zhou could no longer hold on and was the first to fall. The others were like drinking water. The drunk Lord Zhou revealed a gratified smile. He must have dreamed that he had completed the mission. Beauty, you've lost again. Xianxia chuckled. However, it was strange. This woman had already drunk quite a bit. Why wasn't she drunk? Qing Yutong snorted, then looked at Yi Zizi who was playing with the lighter, then said, Handsome brother, your luck is not bad. Qing Yutong could be seen standing up, then filling up the beer for herself, then filling up the beer for Xianxia. However, right at this moment, Qing Yutong seemed to be a little unstable. She swung her delicate hand, and a small cup of liquor spilled onto Xianxia's crotch. Yi Zizi was startled. She swung the lighter in her hand, and it just so happened to land on Xianxia's crotch. Big sister Qing, are you drunk? Fire. 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 Xianxia was a little stupefied. Who doesn't stupefy when his crotch is on fire? Xianxia immediately patted his crotch. Yi Zizi turned pale with fright. Don't panic, I'm here to save you. Yi Zizi could be seen pouring the liquor on the table. Boo. The fire became a little more ferocious. Lu Bai hurriedly prepared to save Xianxia, but Qing Yutong pushed him away with her delicate hand and shouted, Let me do it. The 10 centimeters high heel directly stabbed towards the fire. No. Ah. Xianxia let out a miserable scream. However, his scream was drowned out by the music and adding that it was at a corner who would look at him. Zizi, quickly come and help me. Qing Yutong stepped on Xianxia's crotch with all her might. Meanwhile, Lu Bai was lying on the sofa, unable to move at all as he watched his young master being humiliated. Yi Zizi's body was rather short, and thus she stood on the sofa and stepped on the fire. Xianxia, who had fainted, was woken up by the pain, and he just happened to see Yi Zizi's foot landing on the fire. Don't. Xianxia felt that his crotch seemed to be missing something and it felt empty. Don't speak, Zizi is here to save your life. After finished speaking, Yi Zizi ferociously stepped on Xianxia's crotch, and Xianxia immediately fainted again. Just how big of a grudge do you have against my crotch? Furthermore, you are not saving my life, you are trying to take my life. The rescue was still going on, and after stomping on Xianxia ferociously for around 5 minutes, the fire was finally extinguished. Qing Yutong wiped off the sweat on her forehead. Luckily no one was burnt. Yi Zizi sighed. He was too careless. If it weren't for the two of us he would have been burned to death. Lu Bai felt that he could control his body again and he pounced towards his young master. Young master. Young master. Wake up. Quickly bring him to the hospital, we can only help him to this point. Zizi, let's go. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong pulled Yi Zizi and left. Walking out of the bar, the two of them shook their eyebrows, high-fived each other and hopped back to sleep. How dare you tease me, I will stomp on you in the bar. Lu Bai looked at young master's crotch. It was dyed red with fresh blood. It was probably a mess of flesh and blood. No. He had to go back and get treated. Lu Bai carried Xianxia on his back and left quickly. Lord Jiu, who was originally drunk, immediately opened his eyes. If he did not pretend to be drunk just now, who knows how much he would have drunk. But when he squinted his eyes and saw them being violent, he couldn't help but touch his crotch. It was too cruel. A living person was trampled into a cripple by them. Thinking about how those 10 centimeters high heels pierced into his body, that kind of sour feeling. I reckon that only my target would be able to experience it. Now is not the time to think about this, I have to report to my master. Please don't use any magic. After changing his clothes, Lord Jiu immediately returned to his room and sent a message to one of his masters. Master, the poison seems to have been drunk by me. After waiting for a long time, his master finally replied. Lord Jiu was a bit stupefied. I don't understand what these 6 dots mean. But no matter what, I still have to report back the message that I just received. Master, although the target did not die, his balls exploded. Lord Jiu's master clearly did not react to what Lord Jiu said, and was still thinking about what the word balls meant. After a long time he replied, What do you mean? Lord Jiu wanted to give this master of mine a new definition. You don't even understand this. Don't tell me that you are still a virgin? The target might have become a eunuch right now. After finished speaking, Lord Jiu waited for a reply. As long as the target doesn't scold me and give me the antidote, it will be fine. Little Jiu, well done. Looking at the reply, Lord Jiu was very stupefied. What is going on? What do you want? Tell me. Anything is fine. Lord Jiu was stupefied. This might be a blessing in disguise. Chapter 175. Right now, Lu Bai was carrying Xianxia on his back and flying towards the sea surface at high speed while muttering, Young master, hold on, we are almost there. If I knew that this would be the end result, I would have already persuaded young master to go back home. How am I going to explain such a big matter to him? In the sky, Lu Bai suddenly stopped and took out a token. A white halo appeared in front of him and directly passed through. It was still the sea surface, but there was an island not far away. There were ancient buildings built on the island, and a towering city gate extended to both sides of the island. Day and night, the city gate faced the sea and the sunrise. The city gate was grand and magnificent. There were more than 20 buildings on the city gate, but it didn't feel crowded or repetitive at all. There were pavilions, terraces, waterside pavilions, strange rocks, flower beds, and bonsai decorating the buildings. When the guards on the city gate saw someone flying over, they immediately raised their vigilance and shouted, Who are you? Quickly get out of the way, this is the second young master. Lu Bai shouted. The guards were startled and immediately kept their weapons and lowered their heads. Lu Bai didn't think too much and ran straight towards the center of the buildings. That was the resting place of Ying family's family master. As the family master of Ying family, Ying Jingshan didn't have many wives and concubines. In his entire life he only had this one woman by his side, and her name was Yu He. This was the woman that Ying Jingshan met when he went out to train. She didn't have an astonishing appearance, but she was able to move this man's heart. And Yu He was just an ordinary person. Nestling in her husband's embrace, Yu He slightly frowned and said, Jingshan, won't Kong be wronged by marrying her? How can that be? The other party is Donghuang Baiji. There are countless men who want to marry her. Kong being able to have such a life is also his fortune. Besides, this marriage is not bad. As the family master of Ying family, of course he would consider everything. And as a mother she would definitely only consider her son's happiness. Yu He sighed lightly, but I keep feeling uneasy. I heard that this empress is very tyrannical. I'm afraid that Konger will be at a disadvantage. Things will change after getting married. Right now what we should be worrying about is Hoer's marriage. Did he fancy any girl from any family? Ing Jingshan asked with a smile. Ing Jingshan still felt that his eldest son, Ing Ho, was more suitable to inherit his position. At first he thought that his youngest son would be wronged, but he didn't expect that his youngest son would be marrying Donghuang Baiji. Looking at my eldest son's attitude today, it seems like he is unwilling to give up. Thinking about it, it makes sense. No matter how much power he has, conquering a woman like Donghuang Baiji is equivalent to conquering the world. Had been working hard since he was a child, striving to become the next patriarch of the Ing family. Kong on the other hand, didn't work so hard. It seemed that he didn't want to be the next patriarch, nor did he want to fight for it. Now things were great. With a single word from the Empress, his younger brother's status would far surpass his own. How could he be willing to accept this? If he did not work hard, he would soar into the sky in a single bound. Jingshan, I think it's better not to talk about Hoer's marriage now. After all, Konger's partner is the Empress. It's inevitable that Hoer will feel unbalanced. If he finds an ordinary woman, won't he be even angrier? I don't want to see the two brothers have a falling out. Although Yuho was an ordinary person, after marrying Ing Jingshan, she had slowly learned this kind of worldview. Ing Jingshan let out a deep sigh. I really don't know if this Empress words are good or bad. Our Ing family just wants to live peacefully, that's all. Whatever power struggle, let it be. Suddenly there was a commotion outside. It had been a long time since something like this had happened in the Ing family. I'll go take a look, Ing Jingshan said in a deep voice. I'll go with you. The two of them put on their black silk nightgowns and walked out of the room. They immediately looked at Lu Bai and cried loudly, Patriarch madam, quickly save young master, he's dying. Yi Zizi and Qin Yutong didn't go easy on Yi Zizi and Qin Yutong. Especially Qin Yutong, she was stepping on Yi Zizi and Qin Yutong to death. If Qin Yutong knew that the one she stepped on this time was the second son of Ing family, would she have a different reaction? What's going on? Ing Jingshan shouted. He hurriedly checked on his son's injuries and his expression was terrifyingly heavy. Lu Bai wailed loudly, Patriarch, young master is so pitiful, he was trampled on like this. Ing Jingshan's eyes widened as he bellowed, quickly call divine Dr. Song over. When He took a closer look, she immediately had a feeling of dizziness. My son's crotch is filled with blood. After a while, divine Dr. Song arrived. At the same time Marquis Ing also arrived. His appearance was slightly worse than Ing Kongsher's. There was a mole on his chin and he gave off the feeling that he was a wily old fox. At the same time the other members of the Ing family also arrived. Everyone sat in the great hall waiting for the result. Lu Bai knelt in the center, sobbing quietly. Ing Jingshan fiercely slammed onto the table. What are you crying for? Tell me everything that happened in detail. While sobbing, Lu Bai narrated everything that happened in detail. He didn't add anything and didn't cut anything out. Honest people are easy to bully. All the members of the Ing family who were sitting in the hall knew that they stepped on an iron plate and got beaten up. A skinny middle-aged man took the initiative to voice out his opinion. His name was Ing Xiang, Ing Jingshan's younger brother. The Empress passed the news to me in the morning. It hasn't even been a day and nephew Kong has already made such a joke out of himself. If the news were to reach the ears of the Empress, wouldn't that be bad? Is the son that my Ing family brought up to be like this? Ing Xiang's words had a bit of a taste of throwing stones at a person who was down, and there was even more of a hidden mockery hidden within. Marquis Ing, who was standing behind his father, didn't say anything. Right now, silence spoke louder than words. Lu Bai, who was kneeling on the ground, spoke up for his master. Second young master went there to drink a few cups of wine because he was happy today. I reckon that he got drunk and that's why he asked this lowly one to go and call those two girls over. Ing Shang was the third son and he was a bit plump when he reached middle age. He could be heard saying unhurriedly, forget about the adult females, there was even an underage child among them. Big brother, if such a thing were to be spread out, it would be such a loss of face. Second young master really didn't have any other thoughts. At that time this lowly one also didn't know what happened. Second young master's crotch suddenly caught on fire, and the two girls helped second young master to extinguish the fire. After fiercely kicking second young master's crotch, This lowly one didn't know why I couldn't move, and could only watch as second young master was being kicked alive. Lu Bai hurriedly spoke up for Ing Kongsher. Ing Jingshan took a deep breath and asked, "Were those two girls ordinary people?" Lu Bai nodded his head, expressing that he didn't notice anything strange. The first guess that appeared in Ing Jingshan's mind was that someone intentionally set up a trap. "Are there any other strange phenomena?" Yuha asked cleanly. There was a strange middle-aged waiter who had a restless expression on his face. Lu Bai recalled for a while and said. Marquis Ing, who didn't speak all along, paused for a moment. Ing Jingshan made a preliminary judgment. Seems like the news of Kong going out today was found out by someone, and someone plotted against him. At this moment an old man slowly walked into the hall and bowed towards everyone. "Divine Dr. Song, how is Konger's condition?" Yuha asked worriedly. Divine Dr. Song let out a sigh. "This old man has already tried his best. Second young master's lamp has been extinguished." Upon hearing this result, everything before Yuha's eyes turned black and she fainted. Yuha. Chapter 176. Yuha couldn't take this kind of blow and fainted. "My son is actually unable to have sex." Ing Jingshan carried his wife back to the room to rest, then came to the main hall. His face was terrifyingly gloomy. On the other hand, the other family members didn't seem to care much about it. To them, this might be an opportunity. Could it be that the Empress is going to marry a eunuch? How is that possible? He is not the only boy in the Hujing family. Ing Xiang said, "Big brother, it has only been a day and nephew Kong is already like this. How are we going to explain this to the Empress?" "That's right, big brother. It is already very shameful for such a thing to happen to Ing family. The betrothal gifts are going to be sent over tomorrow. Big brother, it is better for you to make plans as soon as possible." Ing Shang also followed and said, "If my son marries the Empress, that would be the rhythm of a meteoric rise. Furthermore, big brother only has 2 sons, one has become a eunuch, and the other has to marry out, leaving the position of the family head empty. Or continue to be the family head and let the other boys marry out. You can't have your cake and eat it too. This matter must be investigated thoroughly." Ing Jingshan shouted gravely. "Yes. Bring back the waiters of the bar and those 2 girls. I would like to see who dares to mess with our Ing family." Yes. It was impossible to find Jiu Yi. All of the registered information was fake. And right now, Jiu Yi had already returned to Long'an City in the middle of the night, and his butt was wiped clean. However, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were not that lucky. Ing Xiang said hurriedly, "Big brother, tracking down the culprit behind the scenes is important, but how do we answer the Empress tomorrow is also important. Let me think about it, all of you go and rest." Ing Jingshan waved his hand, feeling depressed in his heart. Unexpectedly, Ing Shang said, "Big brother, nephew Kong is going to hold a banquet at 3 Seasons Hotel tomorrow. Should we cancel this banquet? He is already like that, he can't even stand up, and there is still a banquet to celebrate. Celebrate that there is another father-in-law in this world? Cancel it." Ing Kongsher said, then left to take a look at his son's injuries. The other family members shook their heads, then left after chatting with Ing Ho for a bit. After everyone left, Ing Ho revealed a trace of a smile. "This Jiu Ye's way of handling things is really unexpected. This is even more ruthless than killing people. Presumably, those 2 girls should be called by Jiu Yi as well. What was so good about being the Ing family's patriarch? It was only interesting to be the Empress man. As for the 2 girls, of course he couldn't capture them. If they confessed, he would be finished. Since that was the case, he could only kill them. Lord Jiu still had some use for them, so he wouldn't kill them for now." In Ing Kongsher's room, Lu Bai accompanied him and took care of him attentively. Right now, young master's face was pale and he already looked like a father-in-law. How miserable. "How is it?" Ing Jingshan walked over and asked. Lu Bai respectfully said, "Divine Dr. Song said that second young master is fine and will wake up soon." Just as he finished speaking, Ing Kongsher, who was lying on the bed, woke up with a frown. Father Lu Bai, you guys are all here." Ing Kongsher said with a faint smile. He did not feel that he had lost an organ. Seeing the strange expression on the 2 people's faces, Ing Kongsher immediately recalled what happened just now. Lowering his head to take a look, I feel empty. Young master, don't touch it. Divine Dr. Song just applied the medicine." Lu Bai hurriedly warned. The corner of Ing Kongsher's mouth began to twitch. His crotch area was flat and his facial expression changed drastically. Calm down. Jingshan wasn't feeling well either. His son was crippled, who would be able to accept it? Father, save me. I don't want to have no foundation. If I don't have any foundation, how am I going to marry the Empress? 2 hours ago he was still having a sweet dream, fantasizing about the Empress's body, but now, what exactly happened? Jingshan didn't want to give his son a blow. You definitely can't get married. Kongsher's expression immediately became sinister. Father, it's those 2 women. Those 2 women did it on purpose. I am going to hack them into pieces. I am going to be a prostitute forever. I heard from Lu Bai that there was a 7 or 8 years old child among them. Jingshan questioned. Although he felt heartache, he was also hateful. If it wasn't for you lusting after women, how could such a thing have happened? To actually lay your hands on a child, you have lost all your face. Kongsher immediately thought of Yi Zizi's face, that petite figure and that pair of ponytails. It's a pity that it's impossible for me to grab onto those ponytails right now, not even in this lifetime. Father, I only invited them for a drink, I don't have any other motive. Kongsher hurriedly explained. Jingshan let out a deep sigh. Father, I still have to hold a banquet tomorrow. I will cancel it for you, you just have to properly recuperate at home. Ho has already caught the person who injured you. After finished speaking, Jingshan walked out. His mood was very bad. Cancel? How can I cancel it? If I do that, wouldn't I be ridiculed by everyone? Ridiculing me for standing up is better than ridiculing me for being a father-in-law. Jingshan's thoughts were very simple. This matter can't be spread out. If there is a need, can't go out in this lifetime. Family can't afford to lose this face. However, this is impossible. Family is definitely going to lose this face. Young master. Lu Bai shouted out in concern. Kongsher's eyes were lifeless. He wasn't stupid. Father's meaning just now was very clear. I who have no foundation, it's impossible for me to marry the Empress. I am not resigned. I have to be so careful when I go out tonight. I must have been discovered by someone. Big Brother is the biggest suspect. Thinking back to Big Brother's expression in the morning, Kongsher seemed to have already confirmed it, and thought silently in his heart, if I can't get it, don't even think about getting it. Looking at the young master's pair of gloomy and cold eyes, Lu Bai was endlessly worried. Within the 3 Seasons Hotel, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi took a bath and wore cute pajamas. It was normal for Kongsher to have such a thought. Even if there wasn't Kongsher, there would still be other tycoons who invited them, and the ending should be more or less the same. Kongsher can only blame himself for being too unlucky. He is destined to not be able to become the Empress man. Zizi, you were really smart just now. Qing Yutong pinched onto Yi Zizi's little face. Originally, when she saw Yi Zizi playing with the lighter, she conveniently knocked over the wine glass, and very quickly Yi Zizi's little hand trembled, causing the lighter to fall onto the glass. One could well imagine what would happen if the 2 of them were to stay together. This was also the reason why Yi Hua didn't want Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong to be together. To Yi Zizi this was just a child's play. Yi Zizi revealed out 2 cute little dimples. Humph, Zizi has long been unable to stand the sight of him. Originally, I wanted to burn him with fire. Damn Zizi, you are so violent, this won't do, girls have to be more obedient. Qing Yutong guided attentively. Big sister Qing, Zizi learned it from you, you are so straightforward when you step on him. Qing Yutong's eyebrows twitched. Yi Zizi immediately understood. The 2 turned on their computers. It was impossible for them not to eat chicken before going to bed. Chapter 177. This person was dressed in black and he hid well in the dark. An assassin like him didn't need to sneak in at all. He could just fly up and enter through the window. The mission this time was just 2 ordinary people. It was too easy. Gently floating on the balcony, the black-clothed man took out a short dagger and smeared a layer of poison on it. Killing without leaving a trace. Sneaking a peek at the room at the side, the lights were still on. The man in black started to walk into the room with a sinister smile on his face. However, Zizi, there's someone outside the window. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out while wearing earphones. The man in black was shocked. How did they find him? Didn't the intelligence say that they were 2 ordinary people? Zizi controlled her character and shouted, I heard it a long time ago. Watch how I kill you. The man in black turned pale with fright and immediately lay on the balcony. He had encountered two troublesome people. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out, "Do you think that I won't be able to see you just because you are lying on the ground?" The man in black was about to go crazy. He hadn't even found the target yet, but the target had found him. What was the killer most worried about? Exposing his identity. After waiting for a while, the assassin in black felt that it was quiet again. Could it be that he was hallucinating? That should be the case. Those were all auditory hallucinations. How could he have been discovered? Sneaking into the room, he saw that the lights in the living room were off, but the bedroom was on. Seemed that he was inside. The black-clothed assassin revealed a cruel smile and subconsciously licked the blade. Something doesn't feel right. It seemed like he had smeared poison on it. Hindi. His mind was unsettled by what he did just now, and he was actually licking poison. The black-clothed assassin immediately took out the antidote and drank it. He heaved a sigh of relief and went back to the bedroom. There are footsteps. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out. The man in black was so scared that he leaned against the wall. They were really powerful. His footsteps were almost silent, but they could actually hear him. Yizizi giggled and said, "Sister Qing, we've stopped a fool." The black-robed man's expression changed. Could this be a trap? He actually jumped into someone else's trap. "Zizi, don't move. Wait for me to get my weapon. I'm going to blow his head off today." Qing Yutong's delicate shout rang out again, and this frightened the black-clothed man. He had really fallen into someone else's trap. No. This mission was too difficult. He had to call for more helpers. The man in black took small steps, preparing to slip away. "You still want to run? Zizi, blow his head off." Okay, the man in black couldn't care less and directly broke through the window. There were many traps inside. The information was wrong. He had to rethink the plan. Within the bedroom, Qing Yutong wrinkled her brows and looked towards Yizizi. "Zizi, I just heard the sound of someone jumping out of the window." Yizizi blinked her eyes towards Qing Yutong. "It seems like someone jumped out of the window. Seems like there are still people in Pochinki." Qing Yutong let out a breath. However, the two of them had an evil smile on their faces. This game was simply too fun. The room at the side was precisely Yi Hua's room. The sound of the window breaking caused Yi Hua to open his eyes, then casually waved his hand. The black-clothed man, who was rejoicing over his escape, gradually disappeared as he flew. It was truly a painless death. Lightly caressing the woman in his embrace, Yi Hua noticed that she was not woken up by the commotion. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth curved upwards. "Yi Hua, someone jumped out of the window. Quickly come over." Qingya pursed her lips. Seems like she was sleep-talking. Yi Hua shook his head helplessly. "Even in his dreams, I always think about playing games. Luckily I am still inside." "Yi Hua, how did your head get blown off? I will help you take revenge." "Yi Hua. This foolish woman, I really want to slap her awake and properly teach her a lesson." In the morning, Qingya woke up very early. Because today was a good day, taking wedding photos, just thinking about it made her excited. Qingya could be seen to have already changed her clothes and pulled onto Yi Hua, who was on the bed. "Yi Hua, quickly get up." "Are you crazy? It is only 6 a.m. right now." Yi Hua said gravely. Qingya shook onto Yi Hua's arm. "Hubby, I am excited, quickly get up. I really can't stand you." Yi Hua sat on the bed, held onto Qingya's waist and immediately kissed her. "Are you satisfied now? Quickly get up." Qingya rolled her eyes at Yi Hua. Messing around so early in the morning, he is really getting more and more excessive. However, I really like the current version of Yi Hua. It is much better than the previous version. Yi Hua let out a sigh. After washing up, he brought Qingya to wake up the other two. Qing Yutong and Yizizi only slept at 4 a.m., and they had only slept for 2 hours now, and they were even pulled up. "Why is your window broken?" Qingya asked curiously. Yizizi walked out of the room with her eyes closed while hugging onto the little teddy bear. Qing Yutong even wore an eye mask and hugged onto the quilt. After the two walked out of the room, they immediately fell onto the sofa, looking as if they wouldn't get up even if they were beaten to death. Yi Hua walked to the side of the window and lit up a cigarette. Who is it that wants to make a move on them? This is really a bit interesting. Under Qing Ya's various tricks, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi finally put on their clothes and walked out of the room. Yi Zizi was still walking like a little princess, but what was different was that today she was hugging onto a little teddy bear. Qin Yutong finally returned to normal, and when she wore a long dress she looked a bit like a fairy. The breakfast in the hotel was all free, and it belonged to the self-service mode. When Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi saw the delicious food, they immediately came back to life. Meanwhile, Yi Hua occupied the seat and continued to act like a master. What is the biggest use of a wife? That is to hug the wife to sleep at night and serve the wife during the day. That would be meaningless. How could Qinye not know Yi Hua's character? She gave Yi Hua a deep-fried dough stick and a bowl of porridge. Yi Hua took a look at his, then looked at the other threes. What is this for me? Big brother is so stupid, this is breakfast. Yi Zizi said with a smile. Yi Hua glared at her and the latter immediately shrunk back. Qinye laughed. All right, I was just joking with you. I will help you get the breakfast. What do you want to eat? Forget it, I don't have much appetite if I wake up too early. Yi Hua said faintly, then drank a few mouthfuls of porridge. Qin Yutong sized up the surroundings. Yesterday the hotel was still filled with people. Why is there a lot less people today? Brother-in-law, don't you feel that this hotel is a bit weird today? Qin Yutong asked curiously. Yi Hua had felt it a long time ago, but he didn't put it to heart. Suddenly, two men sat behind Yi Hua's table with breakfast in their hands and whispered to each other. I heard that today's banquet was cancelled, causing me to rush over here in a hurry. I still have to rush back to attend a parent-teacher conference for my child today. Isn't it the same for me? I didn't even participate in the group's expedition yesterday night. It is said that the second young master's balls were burst by someone. That's why today's banquet was cancelled. Is that true or false? His balls were burst by someone? Who is so awesome? The Cultivation World's forum is in an uproar. Someone said that this second young master molested an underage girl. 666. The man who is going to marry the Empress is still like this, awesome. That's right, isn't he afraid that the Empress would roast him? When Yi Hua heard about the underage girl, he looked towards Yi Zizi and thought about the assassin from yesterday night. Needless to say, it was definitely done by these two people. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi silently ate their breakfast, not knowing what was going on. Chapter 178. What are the arrangements for today? Yi Hua asked lightly. Qinye wiped her sexy little mouth. I have already contacted them just now. Today we will be shooting indoors. Tomorrow we will be shooting outdoors. The two of you are off today. Tong, take good care of Zizi. All right. Qin Yutong nodded her head. Does Zizi still need someone to look after him? When Yi Zizi heard that she could play, she became excited again. She felt that the person she trampled yesterday should be a big shot. If she wasn't wrong, there should be more to it. She had to properly discuss with big sister Qing about how to play the person to death. Just thinking about it made her excited. It was a pity that the big bone dragon and gluttonous monster weren't able to come. One day. There was still one more day tomorrow. Can't it be completed within an hour? Yi Hua found it hard to believe just taking a photo actually takes 2 days. He could watch many episodes of Calabash Brothers saving Grandpa in the next 2 days. Qinye knew that Yi Hua was getting impatient, and as if she was coaxing a child, she said, "It will be very quick. It will only take around 10 sets of clothes, and furthermore, you will be able to carry me for the entire journey. That's more like it." Qinye felt a bit of a headache. This husband of mine is too clingy. Looking at his posture, he seems to be wishing that he could hug onto me 24/7. He is becoming more and more adorable, especially when he is putting on a straight face. If Dong Huang Baiji were to hear Qinye's inner voice, just thinking about how Dong Huang Baiji would react was a bit exciting. Seeing that they were almost done eating, Qin Yutong pulled Yi Zizi up and said, "We are full, we are going back to our room to sleep. Remember to have the glass changed, it's dangerous." Qinye warned. "All right. Eldest cousin, eldest sister-in-law, Zizi will not accompany you anymore." Yi Zizi waved the teddy bear in her hand and said with a smile. On the other hand, Qinye was all smiles. Xiao Zizi is truly adorable, scary. In order to obtain more accurate information, Yi Hua first contacted Wei Chong. "Is there any information?" "Your Honor, give subordinate 1 minute." Wei Chong immediately contacted Death Mage. "Is there any information?" Right now, Death Mage wasn't staying in the park anymore. He was staying in a hotel. Although the hotel wasn't very high class, at least he had a bed. Yes. In the south, Sonia seems to be making a big move. I thought they were going to fight, but half of them left this morning. It was good that there was information, but he was afraid that there would be none. Wei Chong said, "Good. Good job, keep an eye on him." "Yes, master." Death Mage took a look at Sun Fong, who was beside him, who was still unconscious, then went back to focusing on playing the game for 100 years. "I didn't expect that this kind of information would actually be praised by my master. Not bad." Wei Chong passed the information back to Yi Hua, and Yi Hua praised Wei Chong. "Finally, Wei Chong has done his job well. However, I still need to investigate further." Then Wei Chong gave the order to Death Mage. Death Mage, who was lying on the bed, naturally accepted the order unconditionally. However, right now he had a bit of a temper. "GGG, Royal Translation, what kind of lousy game is this? It has never King won before. You want to cheat me of my money? I'll uninstall it and leave the mobile game world." After saying that, Death Mage really uninstalled the game. This kind of determination was really scary. Opening up the international news, Death Mage began to skim through it. This is also a skeleton that worries about the world's affairs. Suddenly, an advertisement attracted Death Mage's attention. "Good big scum. Scum. I've acted in many dramas but games. I like to play around with the Blue Moon wine luminous cups, equipment recycling and earning money as soon as I enter the server. It's not a dream." Death Mage was attracted by the advertisement in front of him. The main thing was that he would be able to earn money by entering the server. Was this game really that powerful? Death Mage, who swore that he would not play mobile games just now, immediately downloaded the game. He felt that the game was not bad and he rushed to 648 renminbi first. "I didn't expect that there would still be a refund. This game is really not bad. It should be said that it is a game with a conscience." Death Mage was very happy. Of course, the character he chose was a warrior. First he bought all sorts of equipment, followed the quest, and then went on a killing spree. It felt great. *CK fishing was simply rubbish. Only this playful Lan Yu was interesting. "What game is this?" Sun Fong suddenly asked as she looked at her phone screen. "GGG, Royal Translation, a game that can make money." Sun Fong looked at it and suddenly had an idea. This seemed to be a fighting game. "If I can't kill you in real life, can't I kill you in the game? Just you wait, I'll play too." After saying that, Sun Fong leaned against the headboard of the bed and took out her phone to download the game. She even specially asked Death Mage which region he was at, then secretly entered the server and prepared to directly attack the root of the problem. Dong dong dong. A series of knocks sounded from the door. Death Mage, who was currently playing enthusiastically, slammed open the door. Dou Fusher walked into the room with an excited look on his face. Soon after, he covered his face with his hands. "I am still a child. Is it really alright for you two to be like this?" Sun Fong seemed to have become numb as she leaned against the headboard of the bed and asked faintly, "What's the matter?" Dou Fusher said with a serious expression, "Sister-in-law, I just did a divination. Today we will have good fortune." Sun Fong silently tapped on the button to top up her account. 648 renminbi was gone. "Oh?" Seeing that the two people on the bed didn't seem to have any intention of getting up, Dou Fusher felt very hurt. "Big brother, sister-in-law, I can't keep supporting the two of you forever. There will be a day when I will also run out of money." Ha, ha, ha. The sound of a warrior hacking rang out from the speaker. Dou Fusher was a bit in despair. These two blood-sucking bugs. If we succeed today, big brother, sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about the problem of topping up your account in the future. Becoming number one in the entire server would not be a problem at all. As expected, Death Mage and Sun Fong slightly raised their heads. Death Mage thought about becoming number one in the entire server. Sun Fong thought about killing the number one in the entire server. Sun Fong typed on her phone, "Do it." Dou Fusher was overjoyed and he hurriedly said, "I divined that there will be good fortune coming from the north today. It must be some expert. Big brother, sister-in-law, your battle prowess is very high. As long as we intercept it, you won't have to worry about food and clothing in the future." As long as Sun Fong was able to get rid of the skeletons beside her, she was willing to do anything. "Open your mouth," Sun Fong said faintly. "Ah. Open your mouth." Dou Fusher helplessly opened his mouth. Sun Fong swung her hand, and Dou Fusher felt that something was swallowed by her. "You have already eaten my dying pill. If you dare to lie to me, I will not give you the antidote." Sun Fong shouted out coldly, and at this moment her sect master's aura exploded out. Dou Fushi immediately swore that he wouldn't lie to anyone. Go out and wait, Sun Fong said coldly. After Dou Fushi left, Sun Fong took out the malt sprout that was hidden in her blanket and ate one. The taste is not bad. GGG. Imperial Translation. This move is brilliant. Sun Fong took a glare at Death Mage. Jeje my ass, hurry up and get to work. After finished speaking, Sun Fong got off the bed and changed her clothes, not even bothering to avoid Death Mage. Death Mage immediately turned his head around. This shameless woman actually dares to seduce me in broad daylight. Although I am just a skeleton, I have trained my hand speed while fishing, and on average I am able to vibrate 100 times per second. I can control the depth of the vibrations, and I guarantee that you won't be able to let go of the vibrations. After Sun Fong finished wearing her clothes, when she turned her head around and saw Death Mage looking outside the window, she snorted. Chapter 179. The three of them walked out of this ordinary hotel and headed towards the suburbs. Death Mage now knew to wear a mask and gloves when he went out. Actually, these were prepared by Sun Fong to prevent unnecessary trouble. The driver was a little worried. These three people are so weird. The young man in the front seems to be calculating something with his right hand, but why does it feel like his hand is cramping and his complexion doesn't look good? There is a black robe wearing a mask sitting at the back. The moment he got on the car, he was playing a game on his phone. The sound was so loud that it would let out weird sounds from time to time, causing one's hair to stand on end. Only this woman was so beautiful, like a fairy. However, she was also playing on her phone after getting on the car. Listening to the sound of the game, it seems to be the same game as the black robe. Could it be the playful Lan Yu? The more they drove, the more remote the car became. The driver's forehead was filled with sweat. Could it be that she is a robber? Stop. Dou Fushi immediately shouted. The driver suddenly stopped, causing the two behind to crash into each other. However, they didn't mind. Sun Fong pulled on Death Mage's robe and said, "Transfer 2,000 to me." Sun Fong didn't have any money to top up, so how could she kill him? Death Mage wasn't a stingy person and directly transferred 4,000 over. Anyways, he was going to be rich later. The three of them got off the car. The driver stepped on the accelerator. He didn't want to see the three of them anymore. Dou Fushi took out a compass and shouted, "Find the dragon by looking at the coiled mountain. Every coiled mountain is a checkpoint. If there are 1,000 locks on the door, there will definitely be a king living here." Death Mage didn't understand. Sun Fong slowly raised her head and asked, "Isn't this the chant for finding tombs? What does it have to do with this robbery?" Dou Fushi laughed. "Sister-in-law, this chant of mine is very flexible. It can even be used in casinos." "Aren't you a ghost hunter?" Sun Fong laughed and continued playing her game. "Sister-in-law, these days aren't good. Other than catching ghosts, I also need to earn some extra money. I just go to some tombs and sell some jewelry to earn some money." Dou Fushi let out a long sigh. Novels were all full of lies. How could there be so many tombs? Even if there were, they would have been emptied long ago. If he went there, he wouldn't even be able to find anything. He wanted to subdue some ghosts in the tombs, but he didn't even see a single strand of hair. How could he not be angry? Sun Fong received the money that Death Mage had transferred to her. "This skeleton is quite generous." I didn't think too much about it and charged 4,000 renminbi to Death Mage. "Combine equipment." The three of them walked further and further away, and Dou Fushi shouted with the compass in his hand, "Right here." Death Mage and Sun Fong sized up the place. "What kind of place is this? Rundown factory? Why did you bring us here? Is there gold underground?" Sun Fong asked in a sweet voice. Dou Fushi raised his index finger and shook it. "Big brother, sister-in-law, there is no gold on the ground, but there is gold in the sky." Death Mage kept his phone and said, "GGG, the Imperial Translation. Interesting." Sun Fong also felt it, and a look of disdain appeared on her face. Bang! Dou Fushi watched as his big brother and sister-in-law soared into the clouds and shouted, "Big brother! Sister-in-law, bring little brother up, I don't know how to fly." Death Mage and Sun Fong, who had soared into the clouds, stared at the empty space in front of them. Death's scythe immediately appeared in Sun Fong's hands, and with a flick of her hand, the purple gold treasured sword appeared in Sun Fong's hands. "Who dares to stop Voidless Realm?" Immediately, 50 people who wore red gowns could be seen appearing in the empty space. And among them, 30 of them were carrying boxes made from top-notch mahogany. Without needing to think too much, one would be able to guess what was inside the boxes. The other 20 people were guards, and when they saw a black-gowned man and a woman appearing, they immediately pulled out their swords. However, one shouldn't look down on those 30 people. They put down the betrothal gifts on their shoulders and pulled out their weapons one after another. Hearing that the other party had revealed their name, Sun Fong, who was the sect master, naturally knew what kind of existence Voidless Realm was. Trying to provoke them was no different from courting death. However, she didn't expect that the ones who wanted to rob them would be them. This is truly the will of the heavens. But what did that matter? I hope that this Voidless Realm has some ability and snatch their goods, then send out an even more powerful existence to get rid of me and Death Mage. Death Mage took out his phone unhurriedly and started typing. Then his phone lit up and colorful words appeared on the screen. Robbery. However, Sun Fong's speed was even faster and she had already rushed into the crowd. Sun Fong herself was a sect master, and adding on the fact that she had broken through that day, her current strength was completely capable of fighting against Xiao Yi, and she might even be able to gain the upper hand. If she also had an ancient godly item, she might even be able to defeat Xiao Yi. However, Death Mage had the ability to instantly kill Xiao Yi. There was still a gap between them. Looking at Sun Fong dancing in the crowd, blood splattering all over the place and limbs flying all over the place, Death Mage was a bit dazed. At this moment, this woman suddenly looks so beautiful, especially when the enemy's blood splattered onto her spotlessly white cheeks, and her inhumane gaze, it's too alluring. Dou Fushi still didn't know what was happening in the sky, and he was anxiously waiting below. When he raised his head to take a look, a black dot suddenly appeared in the sky. Dou Fushi wrinkled his brows. What is that black dot? As the black dot got closer and closer, Dou Fushi was startled. That black dot is actually a severed arm. Dou Fushi immediately dodged, and soon after even more severed arms appeared in the sky, frightening Dou Fushi to the point that he hid in a corner and shivered. This malicious ghost couple is too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, only 10 people remained out of the 50 people. Sun Fong felt very happy in her heart, and the pain that she had been suppressing in her heart exploded out at this moment, and she felt a lot more comfortable. You all sure have guts. Not only did you all steal Voidless Realm's goods, you all even killed Voidless Realm's people. Just wait for your deaths. One of the men shouted out loudly, then nodded his head towards the other men, then scattered in all directions to go back and report what happened. Sun Fong swung her slender hand, and the purple gold treasured sword transformed into a rainbow and pierced through one of the men's body. However, the other men were unable to be killed. Death Mage was very disdainful. What bullshit, Voidless Realm. My master is able to exterminate you all with just a single move, and his honor is able to exterminate you all with just a single word. Me. GGG. Imperial Translation. Tentacles of Darkness. Countless big round and thick tentacles appeared out of thin air and attacked towards all directions. Back then this move scared Xiao Yi to the point that he had to flee in all directions. Facing against the unparalleled Death Mage, Voidless Realms people were unable to resist at all. Their bodies were pierced through and in the end they were devoured by the tentacles. This move is very similar to Wei Chong. This was the first time that Sun Fong saw Death Mage using a technique, and she thought to herself, what would happen if I were to face Death Mage's technique head-on? If my speed isn't fast enough, I will end up the same as them. This damned skeleton, how can he be so powerful? After recalling back the tentacles of darkness, Death Mage looked towards Sun Fong. Are you afraid of so many tentacles? Just think about the consequences. Death Mage waved his hand and the 15 chests of betrothal gifts that were in the air descended onto the ground along with Death Mage. Sun Fong let out a sigh, then descended onto the ground as well. Upon seeing that, Dou Fushi immediately ran over. Big brother, sister-in-law, you two are too awesome. Chapter 180. Looking at the ancient godly item in the last chest, Dou Fushi was already scared to the point that he took a few steps back. If it was gold it would still be fine, but the more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. Sun Fong walked to the last chest and saw that there was a feather fan inside. Sun Fong held onto the feather fan and fanned it towards the abandoned factory. Boom! The entire factory rose from the ground. Dou Fushi was dumbfounded. As Sun Fong fanned the fan again, the factory that rose from the ground suddenly fell down, raising a cloud of dust. When the cloud of dust dispersed, the entire factory had already turned into a thin biscuit. As expected of an ancient godly item, God Leaf Fan. Sun Fong said. Dou Fushi was already scared to the point that he sat on the ground and asked, "Just whose goods did you guys steal?" Voidless Realm. Sun Fong lightly swayed the God Leaf Fan in her hand. Dou Fushi was confused. I have never heard of such a sect before. A big shot that is above aristocratic families. Sun Fong added with a smile. Pooh. Dou Fushi felt that the world was spinning. I have only heard of aristocratic families before, and now I even stole a big shot that is above aristocratic families. I'm finished. Let me die from the poison. Perhaps this kind of death will be painless. Suddenly, Sun Fong's gaze turned cold and she fanned the God Leaf Fan in her hand towards Death Mage. Dou Fushi, who was at the side, was stupefied. Just what is going on between the two of them? Just a moment ago they even joined hands to steal. Could it be that sister-in-law is going to take everything for herself? That's why she killed my big brother. But why didn't she kill me? Could it be that sister-in-law took a fancy to my beauty and killed my big brother just to let me take over? Damn, sister-in-law is such a woman. I, Dou Fushi, will also reluctantly accept your love. Looking at Death Mage, who turned into a shooting star in the sky, a trace of an arc finally appeared on Sun Fong's face. However, in less than a second the arc disappeared. Because that skeletal hand wrapped around my waist again, and that skeletal face is also getting closer to me. I didn't expect that even an ancient godly item would be unable to do anything to it. Let me faint. But this time I won't faint. I can even feel my lips. I really want to die. Dou Fushi turned his face away. Big brother is too awesome. I have decided to reject sister-in-law's love and follow big brother's footsteps. Eldest sister-in-law, eldest brother is handsome and confident. You should forget younger brother. Younger brother can't withstand your love. She looked at her sister-in-law hugging her brother's neck as if they were in a passionate kiss. I'm still a child. Is it really okay for you to be like this? Shouldn't he be worried about the revenge of others? In any case, it's good to at least put on an act. It's not like I'm worried anymore. Imperial translation, the taste is not bad. Sun Fong flew into a rage out of humiliation. After being forcefully kissed by a skeleton so many times, how could she not be angry? He raised the God Leaf Fan in his hand again. However, Death Mage immediately grabbed onto her wrist and typed, "This lousy fan is useless against me. You can just be at ease and be my wife." Honey. Since when did I become your wife? You shameless skeleton. However, when he thought about it, wouldn't it be more helpful if he had a deeper understanding of it? At that time he would know its weakness and kill it in one strike. This idea seems to be pretty good. I don't refute the word, wife, anymore. Death Mage waved his hand and kept the 15 boxes of betrothal gifts. I definitely have to keep one for myself, and I also have to give some to my master. After all, his honor is so concerned about his subordinate's subordinate. Although these betrothal gifts aren't anything good, I still have to express my respect and worship towards his honor. Ing family. Right now, with Ing Jingshan in the lead and Ing family's relatives standing behind him, all of them were dressed in gorgeous clothing as they walked out of the city to welcome Ing Jingshan. What was rare was that Ing Kongshi was also within the group. Ing Kongshi's face was pale and weak, and he already looked like a father-in-law. Little brother, if you are not feeling well, you can rest in the house. Big brother will help you. Marquis Ing said with a slight smile. However, in his heart he was feeling uneasy. The assassin that I sent out yesterday still hasn't returned. Most likely an accident happened to him. Ing Kongshi sneered. Big brother doesn't have to worry. I will take care of my own matters. But what are you going to do now that you are like this? Marquis Ing said with heartache. Ing Kongshi tightly clenched his fists. The enmity of my heart being destroyed is absolutely irreconcilable. It is definitely you. At this moment Ing Xiang slowly walked out from the group. Big brother, the auspicious hour is already over. Why isn't the assassin here yet? Ing Jingshan looked towards the distance and said faintly, let's wait for a while more. After around half an hour passed, everyone from Ing family was getting a bit impatient. Setting up such a big formation is already giving a lot of face, but the other party actually didn't even send a single person over? This is going too far. I'm afraid that the Empress already knows about what happened last night, yet she didn't even give us a greeting and told us to wait. She is truly not putting us, Ying family, in her eyes. Ying Shang couldn't hold it in anymore and started scolding. Ying Jingshan wrinkled his brows and called out, Go outside and see if there are any abnormalities. Yes. Ying Ho could be seen rushing out with the Imperial Guards. Death Mage, who was currently taking a taxi back to the hotel, sensed Ying Ho's actions, but he didn't take it to heart. The game is more important. Not long after, Ying Ho discovered the corpses of the Voidless Realms people. Just who dares to disrupt the marriage between the two families? That person is going against me, and those who go against me will never have a good ending. When Ying Ho hurriedly went back to report what happened, Ying Jingshan took a deep breath. My youngest son was crippled, the betrothal gift was stolen, and the person was killed. This matter isn't as simple as it seems on the surface. Voidless Realm. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was currently sitting on the purple gold throne and discussing about what happened last night with the 8 elders. Your Majesty, I truly didn't expect that Ying family's second young master would have such a moral character. Subordinate has failed in his duty. Yuan De prostrated on the ground and said with an ashamed look on his face. Xing Han said gravely, Your Majesty, although this second young master's moral character is extremely bad from this matter, it can be seen that someone is trying to disrupt the marriage. The biggest suspect would be Ji family. A bald elder walked out from the crowd and said. His name was Zhou Xian. Donghuang Baiji didn't say anything. She didn't put this matter in her heart. She was only thinking about her daughter's problem. Yesterday I seemed to have hurt her heart. But right now the betrothal gift has already been sent out. What should we do? Yuan De said anxiously, as if his empress was unable to marry a man. Xing Han begged, Your Majesty, Ying family's second young master is unable to be a man. We can only choose someone else. Your Majesty, what do you think? Donghuang Baiji said faintly, You guys can do as you see fit. Everyone was overjoyed. Your Majesty has grown up now and she knows what is important. Wrong. Donghuang Baiji just gave up. Chapter 181. Revenge. Right now, Donghuang Baiji's mind was filled with thoughts of revenge. However, the original revenge plan was to appear in front of that man from above and let him know what kind of woman he had missed back then, a woman that everyone wanted. It's a pity that you missed it, so don't even think about getting it again. Right now, Donghuang Baiji's mind was filled with Yi Hua's emotionless face. Report. A guard ran into the hall at top speed. What is it? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. I just received news from Ying family, the betrothal gifts that were sent over to Ying family. The Imperial Guard didn't dare to say anything, because such a thing had never happened before. Did he fall into the water? Yuan De asked in a deep voice. Xing Han asked curiously, You fell into the river? Zhou Xian was speechless. May I ask what's the difference between the two? The winner is on the sea, and if he falls he will fall into the sea. Yuan De and Xing Han looked at Zhou Xian at the same time. Dare I ask you what's the difference? The betrothal gifts have been stolen. Everyone was killed. As the guard revealed the truth, the entire palace instantly quietened down. Even the sound of a needle dropping on the floor could be heard clearly. He actually dares to snatch Voidless Realms things, and after snatching them he even killed all of them. This slap didn't hurt, but it was very loud. Donghuang Baiji immediately burst out with fierce killing intent, and her tone seemed to be able to freeze the air. Who did this? The guards were all frightened by the Empress's aura. No? I don't know. Yuan De cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, this matter must be related to last night. As long as we capture those 2 girls, the truth will come to light. Remember, no one is allowed to trample on the Donghuang family. Donghuang Baiji shouted out gravely. Who would be able to stop a woman with such an imposing aura? Yes. The 8 old men shouted in unison. Just as the 8 old men were about to leave, a maid hurriedly ran in. Seeing this maid, Donghuang Baiji's brows tightly wrinkled. This servant greets Your Majesty. Donghuang Baiji had a bad feeling. What's going on? His Highness she, what's wrong with her? Donghuang Baiji's beautiful eyes widened, and a powerful pressure burst out from her body, causing the entire palace to tremble. This was even more terrifying than before. His Highness has disappeared. Dong Huang Baiji clenched her fists tightly and shouted out angrily, "Stop everything! Bring Ali back for me." Yuanda hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, His Royal Highness must be playing around and hiding somewhere. I will order some people to look for him." An invisible hand instantly grabbed Yuanda's neck, and his whole body was suspended in the air. "I'll say it again. Everyone go and find Ali. Those who disobey will be beheaded." Dong Huang Baiji frowned, her beautiful lips were slightly trembling and her beautiful eyes were like flames. Ali was her lifeblood. Without Ali she would have died a long time ago. With a casual fling of his hand, Yuanda crashed into the side of the palace like a cannonball. "Listen up, all of you. There are some things that are not up to you all to decide." Dong Huang Baiji shouted out gravely, then disappeared from the palace and arrived at her daughter's courtyard. The remaining 7 elders didn't dare say anything else. The Empress' fury this time was inconceivable to all of them, but it had also indirectly taught them a lesson. In the end they were only subordinates. Don't forget who you are. Right now Dong Huangli had long left Voidless Realm and appeared at the desert outside. Under the scorching sun, a small figure was silently walking on the desert. While throwing a small stone, the figure said with a childish voice, "Mother will be happy if Ali is gone." Wiping off the sweat on her forehead, Dong Huangli raised her head and looked at the sun. "So hot. If it rains right now it would be great." Boom boom boom. Thunder actually sounded out in the clear sky. A black cloud suddenly appeared and a violent wind and heavy rain instantly fell down. Dong Huangli was stupefied and she immediately felt very dizzy. She closed her eyes and held onto her head as she ran madly. "Ali doesn't want the rain anymore. Ali wants to leave this desert." By a little Ali went into a daze. "The rain seems to have stopped. Where am I? There is a road. There is also a prairie. But Ali's head feels very dizzy. I can't take it anymore. Ali is going to faint." Little Ali was finally unable to resist the dizziness and fell onto the roadside. At this moment, a godly chariot came over from afar. "Big brother, quickly look at the roadside. There is a person." The young man who was sitting on the front passenger seat said, and his head was dyed red. The big brother who was driving the car was the same as well, just that it wasn't red but red. From the looks of it, the two of them should be from the same family. After parking the car at the roadside, the two of them took a look at Ali who had fainted. "Big brother, what should we do?" "What else can we do? Why are you so stupid? Bring her onto the car." As the big brother, he felt very pained at why his little brother was so stupid. This little girl couldn't have gotten lost, right? After carrying Dong Huangli onto the car, the little brother asked curiously. The big brother lit up a cigarette. "It should be, let's ask the little girl when she wakes up. I reckon that her parents are quite anxious right now." "Big brother, you are such a good person. I admire you so much." The big brother couldn't help but give the little brother a head explode. "Are you stupid? This girl is dressed gorgeously. She definitely isn't a child from an ordinary family. If we were to find her parents, wouldn't her parents give us a reward?" The little brother immediately came to a realization, then raised up his thumb. Big brother is wise. This little brother is completely convinced. Learn more. Yes, yes, yes. Not knowing how long had passed, Dong Huangli faintly woke up. Rubbing onto her head, Dong Huangli said with a childish voice, "Ali, where is this?" The two young men in front were startled, then immediately stopped the car at the roadside. "Little friend, you woke up?" the big brother asked with a smile. Ali pursed her lips. "Uncle Green, hello? Big brother." The little brother slapped onto his thigh and laughed loudly. "Uncle Green, huh?" The big brother stretched out his hand and slapped onto Ali's thigh. "What do you guys know? This is the most popular color this year." Ali sat on the car obediently and sized up Ali with her big eyes curiously. "Little friend, what is your name?" Big brother Green asked with a smile. "Uncle Green, my name is Ali." The little brother's thigh was almost swollen from the slap. "Why is Uncle Red crying?" Ali asked curiously. Big brother Green said with a smile, "Uncle Red's wife made him a cuckold." Dong Huangli was confused. The red-haired little brother went into a daze for a moment, feeling that something was wrong. "Ali, where are your daddy and mommy?" Big brother Green asked. "Such an adorable little girl. I have to quickly return her to her parents' side so that I can earn some money." Ali pouted her small mouth. "I hate them." The green and red duo sighed. It seems like she ran away in a fit of pique. This kind of little friend should be fine after coaxing her a bit. The red-haired little brother wiped onto his tears. Ollie, what you are doing is wrong. Your daddy and mommy must be very worried about you. They wouldn't be worried about Ollie. While speaking, Ollie's eyes became red. Chapter 182. Yes, thank you, Uncle Green. Ollie rubbed her eyes. This was the first time she had eaten a lollipop and it felt great. While eating, Ollie felt very hungry. Embarrassed, he said, Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie is hungry. No problem. What do you want to eat? Ollie pursed her lips. Ollie wants to eat McDonald's. The big brother and the little brother looked at each other. This McDonald's was not cheap, but as long as they took good care of this little devil, they would definitely be able to recoup the cost. Not only did they recoup their costs, but they could also make a huge profit. Right now, the most important task was to go to the city. The surrounding counties were all small and couldn't satisfy the little ancestors' requirements. Big brother, the journey to the city is very long, we have to refuel. Little brother Red took out his wallet, and within the wallet, there was only a single red banknote and a few shriveled up 5 renminbi, 1 renminbi, etc. Big brother Green made up his mind. If you don't sacrifice the child, you can't catch the wolf. This time he put in a lot of effort. He took out his wallet and handed it to his underling. Give me some money. When he opened the wallet, he saw 5 red notes inside. Little brother Red exclaimed, You borrowed 50 yuan from me this morning. You actually have 500 yuan. Is that so? I might have forgotten. Big brother Green was a bit embarrassed. Along the way, he added 200 yuan to the gas tank and instantly regained his confidence. He charged all the way to the city. Dong Huangli leaned on the window of the car and curiously sized up the steel city. Dong Huangli's gaze was filled with curiosity. The outside world is much better than Voidless Realm, there are all sorts of strange things here. The 2 people who were driving also looked around curiously. The way the people in the city dressed was so old-fashioned and not classy at all. They should learn from us and dye their hair in bright colors. Only then would they be able to attract the opposite sex. All the girls in the village were stunned. Wherever he went, he would be the center of attention, even in the city. After parking the car, the Green and Red brothers got out of the car. This immediately caused a commotion, and all the young men and women passing by looked towards them. Big brother Green said proudly, I told you to dye your hair green, but you didn't listen. Look at the people in the city, they are all dumbfounded. Big brother, I feel that they are looking down on us. Little brother Red felt that there was something wrong with the way the people in the city were looking at him. Big brother Green clicked his tongue. This is jealousy. If I spun Thomas, I would definitely blind their eyes. Wow, is this McDonald's? It's exactly the same as the picture. Little Ollie jumped out of the car and looked at the McDonald's in front of her. Her big eyes were full of amazement. However, when little Ollie appeared, the eyes of the people on the street became even more curious. 2 non-mainstream people with such a cute child, could they be human traffickers? However, seeing that the child was bouncing around, it didn't seem like he was threatened. Instead, the 2 non-mainstream people had bitter expressions on their faces. The 3 of them walked into the restaurant. McDonald's business was very good. They even had to queue up. Ollie, I want to go and line up. Dong Huangli was very polite and did not cut the line. Dong Huangli stood behind a big sister, and that look of anticipation on her face caused everyone in the shop to have the urge to hug her. The Green and Red brothers were like bodyguards waiting for the payment. After queuing for more than 10 minutes, it was finally little Ollie's turn, but the platform was too high, little Ollie couldn't see it. Uncle Green, Ollie can't see. Ollie turned around and looked at Big Brother Green pitifully. Big Brother Green let out a sigh and carried the little ancestor on his shoulder. Wow, so many delicious food. I want a McFlurry, I want a cola, I want a spicy chicken burger, I want a lot of chicken wings and drumsticks and also chicken rolls and also corn cups and also, looking at the cashier who was quickly tallying the food, little brother Red couldn't help but look at his wallet, then looked at his big brother. Big Brother Green let out a breath and let the little ancestor eat first. When her parents find out that the 2 of us treat her so well, they will definitely give us more money. Very quickly, little brother Red carried the food onto the table. Dong Huangli was already impatient and she was wolfing down the food. If Dong Huang Baiji were to see her daughter eating like this, she would definitely teach her a lesson. Ollie, after you finish eating, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy, okay? Big Brother Green said with a light smile. The two of them only asked for a cup of cola, because they couldn't bear to part with the cola. The cola inside the restaurant is very expensive. Right now, the most important thing is to feed the little ancestor until she is full. Dong Huangli was already mesmerized by the food in front of her, and she said casually, "All right." Hearing that Dong Huangli agreed, the two brothers let out a breath of relief. This little ancestor really can't afford it. Half an hour later, little Ollie rubbed onto her stomach. Ollie is full. Green and Red brothers looked at the leftovers on the little ancestor's stomach and wondered how she managed to stuff all the food into her stomach. However, it's fine as long as she is full. Ollie, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy right now, okay? Big Brother Green said while enduring the pain in his heart. Just this one meal alone cost us an entire month's worth of expenses. Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. Ollie doesn't want to go back. Pfft. If you don't want to go back, how are we going to collect the money from you? Little Brother Red hurriedly persuaded. Ollie, if you don't go back, Daddy and Mommy will be worried. Dong Huangli remained silent. Will Mother be worried about me? She shouldn't be worried after all, she doesn't like Ollie anymore. Ollie is so sad. Thinking up to here, Ollie cried. What the hell, just what is going on? Green and Red brothers were immediately stupefied, and there were already a lot of people who were looking towards Ollie's direction. Little ancestor, don't cry, the ones who are going to cry are us. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie has troubled the two of you, Ollie can just leave by herself. Dong Huangli wiped away her tears, then jumped down from the stool with a dispirited look on her face. Right now it wasn't a question of whether he would cause trouble or not. He had already invested and he couldn't let it go to waste. The Green and Red brothers immediately followed. Ollie, you are thinking too much. How could it be troublesome? Big Brother Green squeezed out a smile and said. Ollie choked a few times and suddenly thought of Aunt Qing. Aunt Qing even said that she wanted to bring me out to play. I might as well go look for Aunt Qing. Ollie wants to go back. Damn, the little ancestor has finally thought it through. That's great. Big Brother Green hurriedly asked. Ollie, where do you live? Long'an City. Dong Huangli remembered that Aunt Qing had said before that she was staying at a bar in Long'an City. Hearing this name, the Green and Red brothers were dumbfounded. They had never heard of this name before. Let's check where this Long'an City is, I feel that it shouldn't be too far away. Big Brother Green said joyfully. At the very least, I should be able to get 1,000 RMB as a token of gratitude, right? Little Brother Green took out his phone and searched for Long'an City. Very quickly the results came out. Big Brother, straighten out your tongue for me. This Long'an City, what's the matter? Long'an City is 3,000 plus km away from here, and it is in the south. 3,000 plus km. Big Brother Green was simply about to spurt out blood. The toll fee and the gas fee is not a small amount. Little Brother Red said in a low voice. Big Brother, how about we just forget about it, this is not worth it at all. Big Brother Green let out a heavy sigh. Right now, I have already invested close to 400 RMB. If I were to give up halfway, then all of it would be gone to waste. Chapter 183. I still have a card here, there is 5,000 RMB inside. It is enough for us to go to Long'an City. Big Brother Green could be seen taking out a bank card. Little Brother Red was stupefied. Big Brother, does that mean that out of your 5,000 RMB, 4,900 RMB is mine? Big Brother Green patted his younger brother's shoulder. Don't worry about these details, as long as we complete this business, we will be rich. Big Brother, let's break up. What the F***CK, drive the car and go to the bank to withdraw money first. Big Brother Green slapped the car. Brother, I don't have a driver's license. This big city is not like the countryside. I told you to get a driver's license, but you didn't listen. Didn't all the money go to your place? Little Brother Red said while feeling wronged. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm saving it for you to marry a wife in the future. Dong Huangli, who was standing at the side, thought to herself, Uncle Green and Uncle Red must not have it easy for them. I will definitely repay them properly. However, the thing that Big Brother Green was most proud of in his entire life was the fact that he was able to save Dong Huangli. Driving to the bank, Big Brother Green ran to the ATM machine. However, he didn't expect that all of the ATM machines were out of cash, so he could only go to the counter to withdraw money. However, there were a lot of people inside, so he had to queue up. Remembering that he wasn't in the parking lot, he ran back to the counter and said, "Watch out, I'm going to withdraw money. If the traffic police come, inform me immediately." Little Brother Red nodded his head, then began to be vigilant. "If I were to be given a ticket, then the gains would not make up for the losses. I heard that there are all sorts of tickets in big cities, and I heard that if I were to randomly park my car in the countryside, I would be giving out all sorts of tickets." When Big Brother Green walked into the bank, he immediately attracted the attention of the security guards. This fellow had a bad face. While waiting in line to get the ticket, Big Brother Green was very depressed. He took out a cigarette and lit it up. The people around him looked at him with disdain. Little Brother Red, who was outside, looked around. Suddenly, from the rear-view mirror, Little Brother Red saw a police motorbike driving over, and the police motorbike had already started to collect the tickets. Immediately, Little Brother Red's expression changed as he hurriedly opened the door, got off the motorbike and ran towards the bank. Upon rushing into the bank, Little Brother Red immediately saw that lump of dazzling green hair, then shouted out loudly, "Big Brother, the police are here." Following Little Brother Red's explosive shout, everyone in the hall went into a daze. After remaining silent for a second, the hall instantly burst into screams. "It's a robbery." Big Brother Green was shocked. He immediately stood up and pulled his little brother along as he ran. "What are you waiting for? Quickly run, it's a robbery." The two of them quickly ran out of the bank, only to see the security behind them rushing over. "Don't run, catch them." Big Brother Green was dumbfounded. "Why did you catch me? Are you crazy?" However, when he saw the look in the eyes of the two traffic police officers, Big Brother Green instinctively wanted to run. He had fought many times in the countryside. After getting into the car, Big Brother Green immediately drove the car away. The two traffic policemen behind him were stunned for a moment, and immediately started chasing after him with their sirens. "And report to the command center." Dong Huangli, who was sleeping at the back, was also woken up by the commotion. While she was drowsily rubbing her eyes, Dong Huangli heard the sound of police sirens coming from the back. Opening the window to take a look, Dong Huangli raised her small hand and shouted out, "Hello, police uncle." The faces of the two traffic policemen behind them changed drastically. There was actually a little girl waving her hand for help. These two were not only robbers, but they also kidnapped hostages. "Big case." Big Brother Green snorted coldly. "In the countryside, I'm the racing god of Mount Dongming. If you can see my taillights, you win." "Brother, calm down. We're being chased by the police," Big Brother Green said in a deep voice. "To be a person, one must have the heart to win, otherwise what's the difference between you and a salted fish?" "Big Brother." Little Brother Red was about to cry. To be honest, Big Brother Green's driving skills were indeed not bad. Or perhaps it should be said that his luck was off the charts. He actually managed to get rid of the police. After stopping the car outside the suburbs, Big Brother Green saw that his little brother was very quiet. "Don't worry, this is all a misunderstanding. Let's listen to some music and relax our mood." Big Brother Green patted onto his little brother's shoulder and said consolingly. Then he turned on the radio. "Right now, an important news is being broadcasted. At 3 p.m. today, two men who were dressed strangely attempted to rob and even kidnapped a little girl. The two men were discovered by two traffic policemen who were on duty, and a chase started in the city. The suspects' driving skills are outstanding, and they managed to escape from the chase. The police have already issued an arrest warrant, and the suspect is driving a Wuling Hongguang. The license plate number is ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* are to discover the two men, they should immediately report to the police. The two men are considered to be dangerous. The old drivers who were listening to the news were all greatly astonished. F***K, what a godly car. Awesome. Please acknowledge me as your teacher. To actually use a Wuling Hongguang to escape. What a talent. Right now the car was completely silent. Dong Huangli said in a low voice, Uncle Green, Uncle Red, let's surrender. Two streams of tears flowed out from little brother Red's eyes. In the morning I went out in high spirits and in just a few hours I became a wanted criminal. Big brother Green silently took out a cigarette. Surrender? Even if he had to turn himself in, he had to send little Ollie home safely. Ollie, don't worry, Uncle Green will definitely send you home. Big Brother Green flicked away the cigarette butt in his hand and said in a deep voice. Looking at his big brother who was on the left, Little Brother Red suddenly felt that his big brother's entire body was emitting a golden light, just like a monk who had descended to the mortal world. Go and get the car plate number, we will take the village road to the south. Big Brother Green was still very smart, they definitely couldn't use the highway and the national highway now. Big brother, please accept my bow. Big Brother Green was very gratified. We will live and die together. Can you send me home first? I'm scared. Big Brother Green raised his hand and slapped, look at you. After taking down the car plate, Dong Huangli continued on her way. Dong Huangli felt that she was a disaster. Her mother doesn't even love her, yet when she goes out she still harms others. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ollie has let you two down. Dong Huangli said while choking with sobs. Little Brother Red said with a slight smile, Ollie, don't worry, compared to us your daddy and mommy are even more anxious. Dong Huang Baiji was indeed very anxious. The anger of an empress is not a joke. In just a short period of time, the empress turned the entire voidless realm upside down. Right now I can be sure that my daughter is no longer in voidless realm. The outside world is so big and Ollie is not even 3 years old yet. If something were to happen to her. Dong Huang Baiji didn't dare to continue thinking about it, and tears of regret flowed out from her eyes. I was too strict with my daughter. Soon after, Dong Huang Baiji gave an order to the entire voidless realm to find Ollie at all costs. However, everyone in voidless realm was curious about one thing. Who is this Ollie? No one knows who spread the news, but this Ollie is called Dong Huangli and she is the Empress's daughter. This news shocked everyone in voidless realm. The Empress actually has a daughter and no one knows about this matter. If that is the case, who is Dong Huangli's father? Who is the Empress's husband? Illegitimate daughter. Everyone realized the seriousness of this matter. Dong Huang family is going to have to bear the blame of everyone, especially the Empress. Ever since the Empress ascended to the throne, she had always been the synonym of holy and dignified. Right now, an illegitimate daughter appeared, and this image of Dong Huang family immediately collapsed. Not only the Empress, the entire voidless realm is going to be implicated, and the entire voidless realm might even be pulled down from the altar. The 5 influential families in the north are eyeing voidless realm covetously. How could Dong Huang Baiji not know about the consequences? However, so what? In this life I am only living for Ollie. Without Ollie's fame, what's the use? I have already endured for 3 years. Let the world know then. I Dong Huang Baiji have a daughter. Her name is Dong Huangli. Chapter 184. Dong Huang Baiji was a single mother who had to endure enormous pressure to give birth to her child, and because of that she had no choice but to lock her child up. Only Dong Huang Baiji herself knew of that kind of pain. How could it be that Dong Huang Baiji didn't want her daughter to enjoy the happiness that people of the same age as her? However, for the sake of the entire voidless realm, Dong Huang Baiji had to endure it time and time again. However, Dong Huang Baiji couldn't endure it anymore. The pressure in his heart completely exploded. Whoever dared to make irresponsible remarks behind his back, he would kill them. For the time being, this news was only spread within voidless realm. However, not long from now this news would spread throughout the entire cultivation world. You, the second young master of the Ying family, are a fart in the eyes of the eunuch? Even the Empress has an illegitimate daughter, yet you're still covering the sky and covering the earth in search of her. Comparatively speaking, Yi Hua's current situation was actually quite miserable. He had to take photos like a robot and he had to wear all kinds of smiles. He even had to listen to the words of a photographer. Don't you think it's infuriating? If it wasn't for the fact that he could hug this silly woman, he would have quit long ago. But then again, Xianxia, who was wearing a wedding dress, was truly beautiful to the point of exploding. Yi Hua decided that in this lifetime he would properly collect this woman and let her accompany him until the end of time. However, when Yi Hua thought about how he had to film till nighttime, he almost couldn't hold it in anymore. On the other hand, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi weren't so particular about their attire. The two of them were lying on a bench on the beach. The older one was wearing a sexy bikini, and the younger one was wearing a cute bikini. While drinking fruit juice, the two of them were enjoying the gazes of countless people. Yizizi hugged onto her teddy bear and said in boredom, "Big Sister Qing, let's find something to do, it's so boring. We have already been sitting here for so long, and not a single master came to provoke us, what else can I do?" Qing Yutong, who was wearing sunglasses, let out a long sigh. "I am already dressed so sexily and yet there is actually no reaction at all. Could it be that all of them knew that I was digging a pit for myself and all of them are extremely smart?" Yizizi smiled mysteriously. "Sister Qing, Zizi has a good idea." "What good idea?" "Do you still remember the conversation between the two men this morning? We trampled on a big shot last night and he even sent people to kill us yesterday." With regards to the assassin from last night, Qing Yutong and Yizizi had a tacit understanding. Qing Yutong naturally knew that Yizizi was not an ordinary person, and to be precise, all the people that were by her brother-in-law's side were not simple. Similarly, Yizizi also knew that Qing Yutong was not an ordinary person. Qing Yutong nodded her head. "I remember that assassin was really stupid, he had simply lost the face of the assassin world." Big Sister Qing, I am not talking about assassins." "Then what is it about?" "Sister Qing is so stupid. Let's go and find that idiot from yesterday." Yizizi already had a plan. It would definitely be fun. If it wasn't fun, it would be free. Qing Yutong came to a sudden realization, then hugged onto Yizizi. "My Zizi is really too smart. Woo woo woo, I'm going to suffocate to death." The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They really wanted to turn into a little Lolita and be pressed into the arms of a beautiful woman. Then quickly think of a way, how are we going to get caught? Qing Yutong was already impatient, this is so exciting. Yizizi looked at Qing Yutong's development, then looked at her own and felt that it was so unbalanced. "Don't look anymore. When you grow up it will definitely be turbulent." Qing Yutong pinched the little fellow's face. She was completely unaware that Yizizi could only grow to this size, and her words were a bit hurtful. Yizizi pursed her lips and became unhappy. "Big sister, give me a kiss." Many men walked with their backs bent, some sat down awkwardly and some looked up at the sky. A child's temper came and went quickly. "Big Sister Qing, let's go to sea." "Good idea, let's go out to sea." Finished speaking, the two rented a luxurious yacht and went out to sea. After that, the yacht stopped at the surface of the sea and waited for people to come and catch them. While lying at the front of the yacht, Qing Yutong was a bit sleepy. "Zizi, we have already waited for an hour and we still don't see anyone coming, the sun is about to set." Yizizi also felt that this was not a solution. These people are all blind, and the beautiful woman is already sending herself to our doorstep. A formless aura collided onto the outside of the barrier, causing the seawater within the barrier to surge, and the seawater actually formed into a huge wave that rushed towards Ying family who was on the island. When the members of Ying family who were in the middle of a meeting felt the tremble of the barrier, their expressions changed greatly. Even the barrier did not tremble at all. "I didn't expect that the barrier would be so violent today." Ying Jingshan brought everyone and flew out of the meeting hall, and they could only see the huge wave that was 100 meters tall rushing towards them. This kind of situation caused everyone's scalp to go numb. Of course, they were only surprised that the sea that had not moved for 1,000 years actually gave rise to a huge wave. Ying Ho could be seen standing out, pushing both of his palms outwards, then shouted out loudly, "Protect." All of a sudden, the surging huge wave slowly subsided, and the entire sea regained its calmness once again. Ying Jingshan felt that something was amiss. Too many things had happened in these 2 days and every single thing was targeted at Ying family, and right now it even caused the barrier to tremble. Go out and take a look." "Yes." Ying Xiang smiled, then stood out from the group. Uncle will go and take a look with you." "Then I will have to trouble uncle." Ying Ho cupped his hands, he was very polite. After all, if he wanted to obtain the support of Ying family, then he had to satisfy the appetite of these members of Ying family. Yizizi yawned. "Just now, I controlled my strength well. If I had used a bit more strength, that barrier would have been broken, and if the power did not disappear, the people inside the barrier would have died, and that would be meaningless." Suddenly, more than 10 figures appeared out of thin air. Yizizi was overjoyed. "Big Sister Qing, they are here, they are here." Qing Yutong, who had already fallen asleep, cried out in surprise. Where? The two of you should at least give me some face. The other party is someone who is flying in the sky as a girl, shouldn't you be surprised? At the very least, you should open your mouth wide and point at the sky and shout monster and not put on an excited look." "Big Sister Qing, Pay attention to your acting skills. You are too exaggerated. Looking at Yizizi, who had a frightened look on her face, she had even shrunk into a ball. Qin Yutong had also just woken up and did not react to what was happening. Now that she reacted, she immediately hugged onto Yizizi. Her entire body was trembling, and her beautiful eyes were filled with fear. However, the depths of her eyes were filled with excitement. Those two girls are very similar to the ones that Lu Bai described. Xiang smiled, then gradually flew towards the yacht and landed at the front of the yacht, sizing it up curiously. Ho revealed out his killing intent. The assassin that went missing yesterday is already very vexing. Although I don't know if it is these two girls or not, looking at their appearance and age, they are similar to the ones that were described yesterday. If uncle did not follow me out just now, I would be able to silence them, but now it would not be good for me to do so. Who are you two? Qin Yutong's acting skills immediately went on, and while protecting Yizizi who was in her embrace, she asked in fright. Xiang finally understood why nephew Kong invited them. They are indeed beautiful. The big one is sexy and the small one is cute. They are truly not bad. Don't be nervous, I just want to ask you two a question. Xiang revealed out a gentle smile. If only nephew did not follow me out, I would have captured the two girls and brought them back to be slaves. Wouldn't that be very relaxing? Chapter 185. This little loli was so cool. He was so pitiful. Don't be afraid, uncle is not a bad person. What uncle wants to ask is, last night did you two drink with a man and then help him extinguish the fire? Qin Yutong immediately revealed out a hesitant look. However, when this kind of look fell into the eyes of the cunning Xiang, there was no need to think too much to know that it was them. However, Yizizi had to display the performance that a little girl should have. Uncle, last night big sister and I helped a big brother extinguish the fire. Can you let us go now? Yizizi shouted out in fear, vividly acting out the inner monologue of a little girl. Qin Yutong, who was at the side, felt that Yizizi could become a child star. Ho tightly wrinkled his brows. Are these two women invited by Jiu Yi? Looking at their expressions, they don't seem to be, they are just two ordinary women. However, you don't know anything about their strength. Xiang bent down and Qin Yutong, who was hugging onto Yizizi, immediately retreated in fear. As expected of a movie empress, her acting skills are off the charts. Don't come over. I'm calling the police. Xiang straightened his body and said, I'm afraid that the two of you will have to come with me. There are some things that I have to clarify. Xiang could be seen waving his hand and Qin Yutong and Yizizi floated in the air. Yizizi instantly fainted. Qin Yutong felt that Yizizi's acting skills were a bit exaggerated. At the very least, fainting after being shocked would be more realistic. Look at me. What's wrong? How can I fly? Put me down, quickly put me down. Qin Yutong, who had a flustered look, tilted her head and fainted. Xiang laughed. These two women stomped on my nephew Kong until he exploded. I really have to give it to them. Ho remained silent. He was still a bit worried. A group of sheep brought along two wolves and returned to the sheep pen. The sheep were still too young, or rather not all sheep were as lucky as those in the anime. After passing through the barrier, Xiang immediately brought Qin Yutong and Yizizi to the hall to receive the trial. Yizizi, who was in a coma, didn't expect that she would encounter so many delicious food. Eating one was equivalent to eating 10,000 people. However, for the sake of fun, Yizizi continued to pretend to be unconscious. Sometimes, it is quite interesting to tease the enemy, letting them be eaten while in despair. Haha, I am truly a genius. It's them? Jingshan asked gravely. Ho said in a deep voice, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to wait for my brother to come and confirm it. And wake them up and put the robe on them. Nowadays, the girls in the secular world are becoming more and more shameless. When Jingshan went out to train in the past, which girl dared to dress like this? After draping a robe over Qin Yutong and Yizizi, Ho woke them up. The two of them sat up in a daze. The confusion on their faces was a perfect match. After a while, they glanced at each other before hugging each other and shivering. If this scene was to be seen by Yihua, his buttocks would definitely be smacked into mush. Who would tease their enemies like this? Don't you know that they are in despair right now? Be merciful and grant a painless death. The members of the family didn't expect to see two girls like them. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. Xianxia would never have thought that his own son was destroyed by them. How was this possible? The main hall was completely silent. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi did not speak as they quietly waited for their father-in-law to enter the main hall. Although the two of them did not speak, they were sizing up the two of them. The middle-aged man should be the boss, and the young man standing behind the boss should be the son. Then what is the identity of the person who was stomped on? Lu Bai could be seen supporting Xianxia as they walked into the main hall. Xianxia was limping, and when he saw the two figures in the main hall, he recognized them with a single glance. I'm going to kill you too. Even if the two of them turned into ashes, Xianxia would still be able to recognize them. My roots were broken by them. Xianxia frowned, and a barrier appeared around Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi. The pitiful Xianxia was forced back a few meters and sat on the ground. His injuries were affected, causing his entire body to distort. Soon after, Xianxia looked at his father in disbelief. Father, let me kill them. Right now he no longer had any face left to speak of. Xianxia kneeled in front of his father and begged. Xianxia shouted out gravely, I still have something to ask. Father. Shut up. Xianxia shouted out coldly. Xianxia remained silent and stood up silently. Looking at the two women in the main hall, he wished he could hang them up and use a whip to whip them and listen to their screams of pain. Yi Zizi felt that it was time for her to perform. Don't come over, big sister. I'm scared. Yi Zizi looked at Xianxia as if she was looking at a devil, then leaned onto Qin Yutong's body. Qin Yutong immediately understood. You bastard, you don't even let off a child. Qin Yutong portrayed the image of a big sister very well. Not afraid of power and at the same time protecting her little sister. Upon hearing the two's narration, Xianxia more or less understood what was going on. All of them sighed and shook their heads. Meanwhile, Xianxia almost vomited blood. It's obviously you two. It's you two who broke my roots, and now you two actually dare to bite back at me. Father, don't believe them. Before the questioning even started, my son was already labeled as someone who bullied and humiliated underage girls. Right now my son's reputation is already bad enough. Don't tell me that the entire Ing family is going to be stinked. Qin Yutong's acting was very realistic, especially her acting of not being afraid of anyone. It was simply godly. Alright, this part of her acting was her true self. Don't think that you can bully us sisters just because you have more people. Zizi, don't be afraid, big sister is here. Lightly caressing onto Yi Zizi who was in her embrace, Qin Yutong spoke angrily. Yi Zizi pointed at Xianxia and sobbed, It's fine if you bully me, but don't bully big sister anymore. Xianxia felt the taste of blood surging up his chest. It's obviously the two of you who are bullying me. Looking at the two sisters who were so pitiful, Xianxia said gravely, Big brother, I'm afraid that we have to consider this matter at length. Xianxia thought for a while, then asked, Tell me, why did you two hurt my son? Qin Yutong said righteously, That night, it was him who invited me and my little sister to accompany him for a drink. Lu Bai went into a daze for a moment, but he didn't refute. That was indeed the case. And he actually made an excessive request, asking me and my little sister to accompany him. Accompany him? My little sister is only 8 years old. How can there be such an evil person in this world? After speaking, Qin Yutong started crying bitterly, causing the other family members to pity her. She is lying, I have never said such a thing before. Xianxia shouted out. He was too hesitant and emotional, and his eyes had already turned red. However, Xianxia's words seemed to be very powerless. After all, it was very normal for him to have such thoughts. The looks of these two girls were extraordinary. If they didn't cause any trouble, then it would be fine, but if they caused trouble, then they would definitely be ugly. Qin Yutong could be heard continuing, My little sister and I were almost drunk, and not knowing what happened, his crotch caught on fire. Although he had evil intentions, we couldn't just leave him to die, right? My little sister and I worked together to extinguish the fire, and only then did he not get burnt to death. However, we were also afraid, and thus we left. But you're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.